السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the second live stream. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Here we go. It's waiting for some people, I guess. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Assalamu alaikum, Sam. Peace and blessings, Anis. How are you guys doing this morning? Assalamu alaikum, ARMBV. Assalamu alaikum, Chanya from Switzerland. I actually went to Switzerland a long time ago. Very beautiful country. Yeah. Salam. That's good. Salam, new path, no return. Salam alaikum, Rocky Balboa from the Netherlands. The lowlands. How's everyone doing? Yeah, we can start whenever you guys want. Right now it's 7 o'clock where I'm from. Yeah, Sam, that's good. Whatever's on your mind. ARMBV, wow, from Sydney, Australia. Alhamdulillah, beautiful weekend. Abdul Rashid, salam. Farouk Ahmad, salamun alaikum, alaikum salam. Always wanted to go to Australia. It's just so far. Netherlands, yeah, I don't know if I don't think I've ever been to the Netherlands either. But it's beautiful, I hear. Okay. Yeah, if you guys have any ideas, I just wanted to show you something. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. And then I know that I'm not just talking for no reason. So one of the most important chapters in the Quran by far is the very first one, Al-Fatiha. And the reason I was looking at this is because it's such a unique chapter of the Quran that I feel if we can analyze Surah Al-Fatiha, if we can translate Surah Al-Fatiha, then that's just one small step to understanding the Quran. Oh, nice, Abdul Rashid from the Philippines. Beautiful. Wow, it's like international chat. Okay. So let me just bring this up here. So most people translate Al-Fatiha with the opening, the opener. Sometimes they say the key. And it's just interesting because clearly, if you go to this root, there is another chapter in the Quran from the same root, and it's chapter 48 called Al-Fatah. So this doesn't mean really opening. It doesn't mean really it means a conquest, right? So it's just interesting that they settled on this kind of somewhat neutral or benign translation of Al-Fatiha, when literally that root in the Quran is used for conquest, something very dramatic. Muslims recite this chapter several times a day. Sometimes it's one of the few chapters almost every Muslim has memorized. But do we really understand what it means? Let's take a dive here. So this is the surah in its completion, right? The first ayah is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Oops. And it constitutes 7 verses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Oh, Bangladesh. Assalamu alaikum, Farouk. You guys are going to be shocked, as I was, to learn that no Muslim scholar, at least according to reputable Islamic institutions, believe that Surah Al-Fatiha is in its original state, unchanged, protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One thing that I want to add is basically this word right here, al-maghdub. Now you can see غير المغضوب, they've put in the translation as those you are not angry with. Obviously talking about God, right? Only one problem though, and I have to give credit to a channel. Let me just find this channel. The channel is called Funky Quran Guy. I think you guys will like this channel. This channel, I'm not sure where the brother is from. I think he's from Australia, maybe. But he exposed something significant, which is that Surah Al-Fatiha is not talking about Allah's anger. Allah does not get angry like humans. Particularly in this chapter, the first chapter, the reason why though is because there is no possessive, first person possessive suffix on maghdubi. You can see it right there on the screen. There should be a ya after that word if it was Allah's anger, the anger of mine or something, maghdubi, but it's not there. So whatever al-maghdub is, clearly that's something that exists. But the way that they translate it is, you are angry, your anger. It doesn't say that. It just says the anger itself, the wrath. I hope that makes sense. So let me just show you something interesting too, right? And look, they tell you right here, the word itself, al-Fatiha, means to open, to explain, to disclose, to conquer. This is a major word in the Quran. What's interesting though too is, if you watch Endgame Islam's latest video, many people show that this is the Sab'a min al-Mathani, 7 from the oft-repeated narrations, they say. There's no proof of that whatsoever. Al-Mathani comes from the root ithnain, which always relates to 2. There is repetitions in the Quran, like the word for Eid means when something repeats again. Every year you have an Eid, right? And that word is also the same root, Aad. The civilization Aad is in that same root as well. But what's interesting is in the video, they mention how al-mathani refers to the duos. So things that go together, not necessarily pairs that are just one from one, you know what I mean? It's just duos, 7 from these, whatever they are. And, you know, Allah knows best if this refers to the mutaqata'at or not. That remains to be really defined, but it's definitely not Surah Al-Fatiha. I mean, they don't even say 7 ayahs, you know. So let me show you one more thing, okay? So look down in the notes here, because I noticed something that the scholars of Islam have a disagreement whether the Bismillah is the first verse of the surah or even a verse in the first place. So from my understanding, could be wrong, but you know, Allah knows best. Surah Al-Fatiha is the only surah that the first ayah starts Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Every other surah, with the exception of chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah, has this outside of the chapter, like it's on top somewhere on the Mus'haf, right? It's kind of significant, right? Allah chose to start His book with this as an ayah. So when you open the Quran, the first page, you don't see Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the top. It's part of the surah, the first ayah. So it kind of provoked my curiosity a bit. I looked out, and what do you know? Has it right here from Darus Salam Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Okay, so you can't tell me this is not a reputable source. Everybody has heard of this analysis. The scholars disagree over whether Bismillah is a separate ayah before every surah, or if it is an ayah or part of an ayah included in every surah where the Bismillah appears in its beginning. You see what they're saying? They're saying they actually are casting doubt into the protection and authenticity of every chapter in the Quran. And also, you know, every chapter is divinely numbered as well, right? So you understand what that means? That they're making an assumption. The Quran could be different. It doesn't have to have Bismillah at the top. It could be part of an ayah. Maybe Surah Al-Fatiha has 6 verses actually. The opinion that Bismillah is an ayah of every surah except At-Tawbah was attributed to the companions. Listen who cast doubt on this. Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, Ibn Zubayr, Abu Huraira, and Ali, as well as the Tabi'een Ata', Tawus, Sa'id ibn Jubayr, Makhul al-Zuhri. This is also the view of Abdullah bin al-Mubarak al-Shafi'i and Ahmad ibn Hanbal. I just listed 3 of the major scholars in their that founded or these madhahib are based on Sunni Islam. And look what the other ones say. On the other hand, Malik, Abu Hanifa, and their followers said that Bismillah is not an ayah in Al-Fatiha or any other surah. Dawood said that it is a separate ayah in the beginning of every surah, but not part of the surah itself. And Ahmad ibn Hanbal also is said to believe this. Did you notice that they didn't actually pick the correct answer at all? These are all possibilities, but not really, because the Quran is preserved. What they should have said is Surah Al-Fatiha is the only chapter where Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is the first ayah. And all the other chapters except chapter 9 don't follow this. Chapter 9 actually doesn't have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim anywhere. They try to invent things because they don't understand the significance of it. To them, it just looks like random. But there's nothing random in the Quran. This is the creator of the heavens and the earth revealing this for you. They call us hadith rejectors. And I'm just putting that right back and saying, no. This is ahsan al-hadith. I believe it's in the exact same ayah. Chapter 15, verse 87. That it says this is the ahsan al-hadith. And this is what they're rejecting because they don't agree the Quran is even preserved. Tafsir Ibn Kathir. How could you be a Muslim? How could you be a believer in this book and you don't even agree that Allah revealed it exactly as it is now, what we have in our hands? I don't know. I find that kind of shocking. I don't know about you guys. All right. Thank you, ARMBV. Alhamdulillah. Ayah actually means sign. Allah replaces a sign with another. Yeah, I like the word sign more than verse only because that's exactly what it is. Ayah. It's like every single line of text, numbered line of text in the Quran is a sign from Allah. Some people will say they're self-evident proofs. There's something you can't argue. It's only from God. Also in Surah Sajdah, chapter 32, verse 29 and 30, the word al-fath is referring to the conquest. Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Dale. Salamun, Brother Kenneth. Yeah, we're just talking about Surah Al-Fatiha and how basically the scholars of Islam disagree about Fatiha being in its original state. That's not my reference, that's from Wikipedia. I was referring to Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 1, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 106. They claim it refers to replacing verses. Yeah, that's a good one, actually. Let me just look into that. One sec. I'll remember your ayah there, Brother Rocky Balboa. Okay, one sec. So it's chapter 2, verse 106. Nansakh. Do you see this, Brother Sam? Do you see this, Brother Sam, this word nansakh? I'm going to direct you to a great video that this does not mean abrogate or replace or delete at all. You can use it like that, but obviously they're not going to use the word delete everywhere, right? Because that's problematic. Allah is deleting things. Nasakh. One sec, let me show you something. This is such an interesting topic. I can't believe that this gets swept under the rug by Sunnis. Okay. So abrogation in Islam today is called naskh. You can see it on the screen, right? When we go to this word, abolishing, abrogating, what? Transcription, transcribe. There's a problem here. And I get it, there are different words, no problem. But we have to understand what Allah is saying here. Okay, we did not send before you any messenger or prophet except that when he spoke, Shaitan threw into it. It doesn't say, what did Shaitan throw into it? They don't even say. It says right here. Okay. قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ وَلَا نَبِيٍّ إِلَّا إِذَا تَمَنَّى. This is not recite. This is desire and wish. This is the only one they show as reciting. But it's wish. When he wished, Shaitan threw in it his wish. Where is that here? It's in the Arabic. They don't even translate it. Umniyatihi. But guess what? Allah deletes. He transcribes what Shaitan puts of his desires, of his wishes. He transcribes what Shaitan throws in. Then Allah establishes his ayat. Does that make sense? The ayahs are not being changed or deleted or made obsolete. The ayahs stay the ayahs. Now look at this. We do not nansakh from an ayah or cause it to be forgotten. We bring one better than it or similar. The Quran does not abrogate itself. This concept doesn't exist because this is simply transcription. That's all it is. They say to take away, to draw off, to eliminate. But look at what the first thing says. Transcribe, copy, copy. Okay? Basically, when you create a copy of something, you no longer are dependent on the original because now you have a copy. So whatever format the Quran was originally in its kitab, whatever the Prophet came with, because remember, this is a heavenly document, right? It's not like we're going to print the same thing that he came with. But clearly, the Quran was transcribed for us exactly perfect carbon copy of what is on the heavenly pages, right? And that also defeats the whole lie that the Prophet is illiterate because he is reading the Quran. Iqra, read. They say the first ayah revealed is Iqra. بِرَبِّكَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ. Okay? Now, when you look at this word, okay, let me show you what nasakh actually is. And this is the nail in the coffin. So one is tafsir, and in the same word is a type of Islamic calligraphy. You see my screen? Naskh means something to do with writing down, copying down, transcribing. This is what every Quran is printed in this font right here. You have Surah Al-Fatiha in this script. Everybody that learns how to read Quranic Arabic reads this script right here. Naskh. Are we reading the abrogation script? No, of course not. The whole Quran is in this. This is just the transcribed Quran. That's it. Whatever they had in the beginning was clearly something more sophisticated. But now we live in a world where we're just clearly something has been lost. Knowledge, technology, maybe some kind of a ethereal force that used to be more prominent in our world is now diminished. So Allah had mercy on us and he gave us a transcription of the Quran, like an analog format, when perhaps the first one, and I'm saying they're different. I'm just saying you can have different formats of the same recording. Kitab is like a recording, whether written, oral, audio, whatever. You can have a Quran on stone. I mean, it'd be very expensive, but you can have a Quran on stone. You can have a Quran on any kind of surface. So there's no abrogation. It's just what we're reading today is hinting that the one that came down, that was sent down, that's something really, really special. And this is just like something to remind us of the past. Quran is a dhikr, right? It's still from God. It's still perfectly preserved. Every single... And you know why I believe this is because these manuscripts that they tell us are manuscripts, they're clearly not that old. And they don't do justice to what the Quran is today. You're going to tell me the early Muslims, this is supposed to be the oldest partially complete manuscript. It's not even complete, by the way, the Birmingham manuscript. You're going to tell me this is 1400 years old? They didn't even bother to put any markings. There's like added information according to this theory in the Quran today. And we have what? Blanks. They made it on purpose so they can promote this idea of variant readings. You can have ya'lamun instead of ta'lamun. Okay? These are fakes. If you believe that this survived for 1400 years in that state, I'm gonna do a video reacting to there's a video on this. You're gonna be shocked how sketchy it is. It's very suspicious who found all of these documents. The Arabs who's supposed to have a long history of Islam, they didn't even know these existed. Let me show you one here, okay? Some people tell me that Mecca is in Yemen, okay? Did you guys know this manuscript is from Yemen and is different than the other ones? It's a different... so what you can see on this one is there's an original writing, and that was washed away, and there was one written over it. Okay? The Sanaa manuscript has discrepancies. They have studied this. They have studied this, and these discrepancies invalidate the Quran's authenticity. They cannot be possible. But they assure us, no, it's just an accent. Really? Ya'lamun, ta'lamun is an accent? Those are two different words, two different tenses. There's no discrepancy in the Quran. And that's why people are just they're so confused now, because they've put this fitna upon us. The Quran is preserved, guys. Don't ever lose doubt in that. These Christians, like Answering Islam, they run with this. They're happy with this. This is a fitna for them, that they are allowed to criticize the Quran's authenticity easily. You know how they found this manuscript? They were doing some renovations. Let me show you guys. I'll do this and then I'll answer some more questions, okay? Sanaa manuscript. This is people tell me this is supposed to be Mecca, Sanaa. This is where Mecca is, guys. The Grand Mosque of Sanaa. Do you know how they found this manuscript? They were renovating a wall. By the way, the entire mosque is not in its original state. And guess what? They found this Quran manuscript in potato sacks. I'm not even joking. This Quran manuscript was in potato sacks. They left them on a staircase of some minaret of this mosque. Are you kidding me? This is embarrassing. How could they get away with this? How can we not dispute this as a hoax? This was found by construction workers. And they can't even decipher it. The Arabs are not allowed to understand their own text. They have to get Germans. They have to get French people, British people to analyze it for them. Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Of course, we have to get the German scholars that were just happened to be visiting at the time to restore this text. This is a major conspiracy, guys. Okay. End rant. All right. Sam. Is it Sam? No. I already did that one. Rocky Balboa, chapter 32, verse 29. All right. If I have to take a break, guys, I'll let you know. Just letting you know, FYI. All right. Say Yawm al-Fath. Look at this, guys. If you don't think there's a conspiracy against the translation to basically render the Quran immobilized, this is what they translate as al-Fatah. And when you go to this word, not a single one translates it as conquest. That's what the word means. There's no disputing it. It doesn't mean judgment, doesn't mean decision. Victory is nasr. I explained this in the first live stream as well. This is conquest. They're hiding a incoming, pending conquest. Okay? Will not benefit the ones who disbelieved their iman. Isn't this interesting? If we're to believe iman is belief. Oh, I have iman. Allah is saying the kuffar have iman. The ones who kafaru. Isn't that a contradiction if that's what it means? It's not a contradiction because their iman is placed in something wrong. So it doesn't benefit them. Yunzarun. Granted respite, reprieved. Okay. Thank you for bringing that verse, by the way, just so we can show people. All right. Aisha Muhammad. Do I have to wear hijab, brother, according to Quran? Please tell me. Oh, this is a major topic, and it's very controversial, right? Because hijab is seen as something that is like inseparable from Islam. Like just the thought of a woman wearing hijab, you just assume she's Muslim. There's no way you can be a Muslim woman without hijab. That's what they tell us. Okay? I'm not here to say do this or do that. I'm not saying that. I just want to show you some evidence and you can make up your own mind. That goes for anybody listening, okay? Please do the work yourself as well. I don't like this, we've created a culture in Islam where there's people that tell you what to do and people that follow blindly. We have to get rid of that, guys. There's nothing between myself and anyone else. Everyone's on equal standing. Everyone has the capacity to figure things out. Okay, there's no gurus, there's no priests in Islam, there's no rabbis. All right. Well, they've added some now. They've made it part of the religion now, but in the Quran this doesn't exist. So hijab. All right. Let's look at that word. Okay. I think they translate it as partition. There it is. Partition. Now, this word is used 7 times in the Quran, and an 8th time is another word from the same root. If you can find me an example where this not 100% means a headscarf, I'm all ears. But let's just look at it one by one. Between them will be a hijab, and on elevations are men who recognize all by their mark, and they call out to the companions of paradise, peace be upon you. They have not yet entered it, but they long intensely. So this hijab is between the people of hell and between the companions of paradise. That's not a head covering. Here's a hijab. And when you recite the Quran, we put between you and those who do not believe in the akhirah, hijab masturan. This is not a head covering because this is about those who do not believe and those who read the Quran. Qira'at al-Quran. It's not a head covering. Okay, it's a partition. It's like metaphysical. I don't know how to describe it. And this is Maryam's story, and she took in seclusion from them a hijab. Then we sent to her our angel, and he represented himself. It doesn't say angel. It says ruh, our spirit. Okay. He represented himself to her as a well-proportioned man. Yes, they do show Maryam in paintings that she's wearing a headscarf. Okay, for sure. But let me ask you something. Do we believe that these are pictures of her son? No, we don't. Muslims deny that this is Isa al-Masih, Isa bin Maryam. So then why do we take this on? Why do we say this is a picture of Maryam? We don't know what she looked like. We don't know what she wore. We don't know how it was. There are no paintings of her. Maybe there's some Islamic paintings, okay, right? Maybe she has a headscarf. The point is, we don't know the context of that world at that time, okay? It would seem like that this is not a religious ruling. This is not from the Quran. There is no religious forced, because remember, there's no compulsion, right? So even if a woman decides to put a headscarf over her, that's her choice. Nobody can tell her to take it off. Nobody can tell her to put it on. There's no compulsion in ad-din al-Islam. Okay, let me show you something as well. So far, nothing definitive that it's a head covering. Okay, let's continue. You who have believed, do not enter the houses of the Prophet except when you are permitted for a meal without awaiting its readiness. But when you are invited, then enter, and when you have eaten, disperse without seeking to remain for hadith. Do you know that the people harassed the Prophet for hadith? It's right here. It's in this ayah. مستأنسين الحديث. Indeed, that was troubling the Prophet, and he is shy of you. But Allah is not shy of the truth, and when you ask for something, ask them from behind a partition, hijab, that is purer for your hearts and theirs, and it is not for you to harm the Messenger of Allah or to marry his azwaj after him ever. Indeed, that would be in the sight of Allah an enormity. Again, nothing definitive that it's a headscarf. Next one. This kind of tells you what it is, because it says al-hijab. This is the only time in the Quran Allah is saying al-hijab. Hijab Allah. And he said, indeed, this is Sulaiman's story. Sulaiman said, indeed, I gave preference to the love of good things over the remembrance of my Lord until the sun disappeared into the curtain. This is not a curtain, this is a hijab. The sun disappeared. Let me show you. فقال إني أحببت حب الخير عن ذكر ربي حتى اتورت بالحجاب. The official tafsir of this verse says the sun enters a hijab. The sun's not mentioned. But what's interesting is clearly this is not a headscarf. There's something in the world called al-hijab, like a veil between the worlds. Two more here. Our hearts are within coverings from that to which you invite us, and in our ears is deafness, and between us and you is a hijab. This is not the people you want to be on the Day of Judgment. That in their ears is deafness. Their hearts are covered. They don't want to be invited to this revelation. Hijab is basically like almost always separating believers and disbelievers. And the believers are not covered by this hijab. It's only the disbelievers. It is not for any human being that Allah should speak to him except by revelation or from behind a partition, or that he sends a messenger to reveal. So, behind a hijab. When you wear hijab as a Muslim woman, are you behind a hijab? No. Hijab is on you. This is something different entirely. So now that's out of the way. Why do they call it hijab? It's not even, it doesn't even hint that it's a clothing whatsoever. Again, that's not to say that people should not be modest in Islam, but we have to be honest. What are the conditions that need to be met in the Quran? I'm going to show you. So what they usually do is, because there is no evidence of hijab meaning any kind of clothing, they go to this word khimar. Okay? And let me just find it for you. Hope you guys are enjoying the live stream so far. Khimar. There it is. Khimar. It's only mentioned in one verse. Bi khumurihinna. They put this as their head covers. There is no evidence whatsoever this means head covers. You know why? Look at what root it comes from. It comes from the root for wine. Okay? And I'll tell you right now, this word khamara, khamr, this root, is related to fermentation. That's strange. Why would this head covering be related to fermentation, you ask? The word for yeast is khamira, khamiri. The word for wine, which is made with yeast, alcohol is made with yeast, is called khamr. They're intoxicating, right? Let's look at this verse. Okay? Tell to the mu'minat that they should not lower. It's not lower. It's really to dampen some of their vision. That doesn't mean you have to look at a woman like this. You can't talk to her. You have to treat her like she's not there. No. Just don't, again, men and women have this condition, right? It's not just for men that they have lowered their gaze. Women also do the same thing. You have to treat people of the opposite gender like human beings. They're not objects. They're not things that, like in the story of Yusuf, the woman, Aziz's wife, she doesn't understand this, okay? And Yusuf is telling, hey, get back. I'm not about that. That's wrong. Okay? So look at this. Guard their furujahunna. This is pivotal. This is important. You don't allow anybody access, or you don't transgress when it comes to somebody's, let's just say reproductive anatomy. Okay? You're supposed to guard that. No question. Do not display their zina except what is apparent of it. Why don't they ever translate this? What is the apparent part? Obviously, if you're a woman in Islam, or any woman in the world, you're not going to come across as a ghost. People are going to identify you as a woman, because whatever clothing you wear, you're going to notice that you're a woman. You just have the womanly shape. We have anatomical differences between men and women. So clearly this zina is not like, you know what I mean? I mean, they just want women to just be like ninjas, where they don't have anything, and literally everything is seductive apparently to men. There's nothing based on that in the Quran. You have to be like balanced about things, Obviously, we don't want our sisters to be running around with no clothes on. Obviously, that does happen here in the West. Okay, no question. But at the same time, the reaction to that is that they are just, basically coerced to have no desire to have any adornment whatsoever. Allah tells us in the Quran in chapter 7, "O Bani Adam, take your beauty to every masjid." That doesn't mean you become seductive or anything, or you become narcissistic or about your beauty or anything. That just means there is an importance to beauty, especially towards women, that every woman values. There's no way around it. Like, you can't just tell women, no, you can't do this, you can't do this. you're forbidden this, and then a man, it has a double standard. No, there's an equity involved. I'm not saying that they're equal. Men and women have different strengths and weaknesses, but I'm saying that there's equity involved, all things considered, right? Let them draw بِخَمُورِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. Do you notice what it says here? They have really messed up in this translation. I'll tell you why. This word does not mean your head. It means your pockets. What are your pockets? Well, women have more defined pockets than men, okay? And you can see the word there is bosoms, right? This is the impediment. This is not impediment. This is the incentive from Allah for women, especially women, to be modest in these areas, okay? Not their hair. Why? Notice khumurihinna. The reason why this word is related to fermentation is because in order to ferment something, you have to put a cloth over it so the dough can rise. There are aspects of human anatomy, particularly women, where this concept of curvature, however you want to say it, is present on women. It's very difficult to talk about, obviously. I'm trying to really use my words carefully. But basically, this is what's meant to be covered up in the Quran. Not hair. Hair is not a pocket. Hair is not even, like, let's be honest, hair is not something that will just stop somebody in their tracks if they see hair. Like a man driving down the road. All things being equal. But these sections of female anatomy, they do cause disturbance. No question. Nobody would want their mother or their sister or their daughter to go like that. No man, self-respecting man would do that. Hair, on the other hand, doesn't apply to this because it's not something that is a pocket. This is what this word means. Musa puts his hand into his pocket, into his bosom. You see? He's not putting it here. He's putting it in his bosom, right? Doesn't that tell you what it's about? And this word zina, clearly this is something that's supposed to be private. Okay, it's not ordinary, This is why the word zina is related to zina. Why do you think zina is the word for adultery, fornication? Because zina is what's being transgressed. Okay? That's why it says except to there. Okay? There's different levels of zina. That's why it says what's apparent. There's clearly levels that are always meant to be private for men and women. Okay? I want to direct you to a channel that, let me just find it here. For, what's the sister's name? Aisha Muhammad. Okay. Let me direct you to a channel. You will love this video. You will get so much stuff from this video. Okay, so I mentioned this channel in my last live stream, Hussein Al-Khalil. Okay. He has 2 videos on hijab. This one, hijab, okay, and this one. So just search hijab Hussein Al-Khalil. He has everything translated into English. If you speak Arabic, it's even better. That will answer all your questions, okay? He does a much better job than I do. But basically, the salient point is what they call hijab today is not given any weight in the Quran. Do you know who covers their heads? Well, let me show you. Yeah, let me go to this. Okay. So there's a word that means headscarf in Arabic, and it has nothing to do with that root hijab, nothing to do with khamr. Okay? Because we're talking about headscarves. We're not talking about the standard modesty of other areas of the body. This word habara. Let me show you where this word is used. Okay? It's used with rabbis. Okay? Rabbis are called ahbar. Now, I'm going to make a video, the part 3 of my Yahud series. But this is what they call rabbis today. The Pope is actually called Al-Hibr Akbar, the big rabbi. Okay? That's how you know it's not about Judaism. It's about something like a priesthood, some kind of a protected class that makes all the rules for everybody else. They're the ones that likely wrote the history because Hibr means ink. Okay? Like ink that you write with. Look, Habr, bishop. The Pope is Al-Habr Al-Azam. Al-Azam, the Pope. Habr, rabbi. You're going to tell me Christianity is not connected as a type of Judaism, Yahudism? It's the same word in Arabic. Now, Hibr is ink. These people wrote all those things, those histories, manuscripts, all this stuff. Look at this. Habara. This is a silken shawl or wrap worn in public by ladies. This is classical Arabic. It's actually used in Egyptian Arabic to this day. A black head covering that women wear. Usually women are dressed in black in Islam. It's called habara because it's the same color as ink. And it's the same root as rabbinical authorities. Look, when you go to Kabbalah, head covering, why cover your hair? You know, sister, like, this stuff is alien to the Quran. Alien. What it seems like is these practices, you know, like, let's say, across religions, okay? There is some kind of historical context to why women wear head coverings. Of course, nobody is saying this is wrong to do. No. What we're saying is you can't force it. You just can't. Okay? This is cultural. It's 100% cultural. They try to attach it to religion for whatever reason. Look at this. These are Orthodox Russian Christians. They're from an old church called Old Believers. These are not Muslim girls. These are Orthodox Christians. You want to tell me that Islam is unique in that? Sometimes they use this to actually promote the mandate of hijab on women. That's ridiculous. Why then would we not adopt all of their practices? I don't care what other religions do. I want to see what Allah tells me in the Quran. Okay. Basically, you'll find that, you know, just you'll find that many women have huge amount of fitna caused from this mandate. It's not about the hijab itself. No problem. Women choose to wear it. Women choose to wear all kinds of things. Okay? But at the end of the day, we do not have the authority to say this is halal, this is haram, outside of what Allah made halal and haram. Just go to the hijabi subreddit and you'll find exactly what's going on in that department. Okay? Most traditions around the Islamic world, they don't even wear hijab like they're told to. They wear it like basically just like a traditional headscarf. Most women don't even wear it like in probably your parents' or grandparents' time as well. It's reactionary. It's a reaction to modernism. Anyway, let's go back to this. Hope that answered your question. All I want to know is how to do salat. Yeah, same. Just watch the first live stream, L. Watch the first live stream. There's some moments in there where there's some issues with the standard narrative of what salat is. Fafu, welcome to the stream. Should we consider Sunnis and other sects as Muslims because they use hadith over Quran? Isn't that kufr? Look, I mean, we all come from this context of ignorance, right? So whether it's kufr, whether it's shirk, everybody has the free will to choose something better, to leave something that's wrong, once they understand it's wrong, right? Now, it's a bit of a paradox because these things seem obvious to us now because we've come out of that darkness, out of that ignorance. We'll never return to that millet, right? Like the messengers will never return to the millet of their peoples. But by the same token, this is something that's obvious, and you really want to get your affairs in order before the Day of Judgment. At that point, there's no, let me return and let me do something again. No. You had your chance. Death is the same way, right? You want to correct your affairs before you die because you don't know when that will be. So mankind is given all this mercy. There's no injustice done to mankind. All the mercy, all the signs are there. They just need to reflect. They need to read the Quran, independent of what people have determined it to be. I wouldn't say those sects are Muslims. Some people like Muhammad Sheikh, he says that Muslim doesn't mean you're just this angel. You commit all kinds of sins as a Muslim. There are Jewish Muslims, Christian Muslims. It's like a struggle, but my standard is this book defines, because think about it. The deen is called Al-Islam. That doesn't change. That's been there before humans existed. So you don't convert to something that pre-exists you, right? What didn't always exist is Millat Ibrahim. Nobody calls themselves that ever. That has been expunged from history. Hanifan religion has been expunged from history. They've been genocided, almost exterminated, basically. We're seeing a resurgence now of this Ibrahim religion. So basically, it's just like with Christians and Jews, or Buddhists or Hindus. You don't know where that person will end up in the future. They could be your greatest ally. Some of the people you think are your friends could be your greatest enemies. This is the struggle, right? We don't have knowledge of the future. But it is wrong. It is wrong when they say this openly. The Sunnah rules the Quran. Hadith explains the Quran. It doesn't need the Quran. The Quran needs the Hadith. This is shirk. There's no way around it. But it's better to identify the thing that's wrong and not the person, because the person has a context, right? Most people that are in these sects are born into these sects. They don't know anything else. So, hope that answers your question. It's a bit complicated, you know. Greetings, Miss Ali. Alhamdulillah, real Islam. Hope you're doing well. Assalamu alaikum. Jannah. When the Quran says obey the messenger, what does that mean? How can we obey the messenger without hadiths? Good question. Very, very simple. I'll just keep it brief if I can. There's nowhere in the Quran that says obey the Prophet. Number one. It says obey the messenger. Those two are not the same because Allah is not redundant with his speech. He says obey the messenger. That means obey the conveyor of this message. There is no messenger without a message. There is no message without a messenger. What is the message? The Quran. His highest rank, the Prophet Muhammad's highest rank, is Ar-Rasul. The angels are called Rusul. The other prophets are called Rusul, like messengers, right? It's more than messenger. It's like an emissary. Like this person basically comes with Allah's authority just because he has this message. So when it says obey Allah, obey the messenger, do you think those are two different things? Let me show you. This word is called handiyadus. You see this word on the screen? The expression of a single idea by two words. Nice and warm. Are you talking about two separate things? Nope. Not two separate things. One thing in two different ways. Allah wa Rasul. For example, let me give you an example. This is a very easy one to contemplate on. And if you do not, then be informed of a war from Allah and His Rasul. Question, is this two different wars? Because one is Allah and His Rasul. So there's a war from Allah and a war from His Rasul? Nope. One war. It's singular. Harbin. So this is how Arabic works. When you have wa in the middle of two nouns, those two nouns join together. Al-Kitab wal-Hikmah. This is not poetry. This is how Arabic works. Okay. Al-Kitab wal-Mizan. They go together. Allah is trying to point out that there is something about our world that is constantly in these pairs. And so the Prophet is a necessity to follow the messenger who is called the Ummi Prophet. He just identifies it in one verse in chapter 7. Ar-Rasul al-Ummi Nabi. Al-Nabi al-Ummi, right? That's it. The messenger is the one that comes with the authority. The Nabi is an extension of that. The Nabi is a different role entirely. The Rasul has the authority because he comes with Allah's stamp of approval. Hope that answers your question. The messenger brings you the truth in the Quran. There's no validity to hadiths. Allah says so many times, in which hadith will you believe in after this? This is the best of the hadith. There are people that engage in lahwul hadith, enjoy playing around or diversion of hadith, right? Brother, I'm confused in regards to the Kaaba. If it's in the North Pole, that means the Kaaba is in a house, it's a rock or a mountain in the middle. Good question. This is something we have to work on in part 6, part 7. What I've tried to do is lay the groundwork so that people have some context of what to expect. Part 6, the straight path. Part 7, the sanctuary manifest. I want to actually use the Quran's verses, Quran's ayat, lift them up from the pages and put them on some kind of a visual to show you what it could possibly be. For example, many people tell me that the Kaaba is not a house. That's Bayt. Okay, Bayt al-Haram and Kaaba al-Haram, al-Masjid al-Haram is something else. Fine. Let me just show you something, okay? So, Allah made the Kaaba. We know that much. But then when you go into the word Kaaba, right? Kaaba. You go into the root of it. Look at this nonsense. They insist Kaaba means cube. I showed in part 3 of my Mecca series. The word for cube is muka'ib. There's a shadda on the ain. It's a different word. Same root, different word. Kaaba, it's anyone's guess what this means. This needs to be understood differently. But basically, look, they tell you it's a shrine. Let me see if I can find, where is the... There's a page here that I remember seeing. I wonder if I can find it. I have an idea. Let's search this. Okay. If you just search the root, this one, look, you have to know to search the root. They don't have a little link for you. Doesn't mean this swelling of this female part. It doesn't mean that. That's a lie. This is okay because it's a different word from the root. And this is what I want to draw attention to. This is what Ka'ba has to be, because you see it has that sukoon on there. Ka'ba. What do we see? Knot, nobe, a node, a joint, articulation, ankle, heel, high heels, stub, counterfoil, coupon, ferrule. They put in diacube in there, fine. Fame, glory, honor, rank. So basically, in the Quran, we have this ankle bone, right? It says here, right here. وَمَسْحُ بِرُؤُسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبِينِ. I mentioned this in my live stream. Just check it out. This ka'bini is not your ankles. I know it sounds surprising, but you don't wash towards your ankles. You wash until. That's how they put it. Look at this word here, ferrule. Do you know what that is? Ferrule, as you can imagine, is made from iron. Remember I told you that the mountain is magnetic iron? Part 3. Well, this is a ferrule. It's a metal pivot on the end of an axle. Let me show you what that looks like. You've probably encountered this your entire life. You just didn't know what the word is. It's this metal part that connects a shaft to the instrument. They're made of iron, historically, okay? A band or cap placed around the shaft to reinforce it or prevent it splitting. Metal spike at the end of the shaft of an ice axe. Don't you see that this is related to this axis of the worlds, right? So imagine there's a tree going all the way up a trunk, and at the very bottom there's this little ferrule, like a ring. Maybe it's cube-shaped. I'm not convinced it's cube-shaped. Let me show you this. This is a ferrule. This is a knife. This is the ferrule right here, connecting the wood to the metal. You see that? This could be what Ka'ba means. And it just got its idea of a shrine because this particular pole, let me show you, is very big. Okay? Very big. Axis mundi. So it pivots around, it spins the heavens, and there's something that secures it in place. It's just a theory. I can't say for certain, right? Aisha Muhammad, Sola Qur'ana. Do you believe in the 19 code that some Quranists found years ago? Nope. Don't believe it. I think that Rashad Khalifa did a grave injustice to Quranists around the world. There's something fishy with that whole movement. I don't belong to that movement whatsoever. If you want a good idea, just go to the Warner 19 code. Where is it? Oh, I think I saw it. This is the one. Watch this hour-long video. You will see the 19 code has been fabricated, and they use it to basically turn the Quran into some gematria nonsense. Okay. They didn't find it, by the way. Rashad Khalifa, he says he's the promised Messiah. He said he was the Mahdi. He said he's like, this is a cult. This is a cult using the Quran. LA111, what are you drinking or eating? Oh, good question. I'm trying to drink this It's called metti. Metti, yerba mate. It's a plant that grows in South America, very popular in the Middle East. It's like an alternative to coffee. So I put milk and some honey in there. It's drunk usually through this straw. Problem is it's so thick that I can't get much out of it. It's very good. Brother, but the verse actually mentions both transcription and abrogation also before Masjid al-Haram. It was Masjid al-Aqsa. No. Masjid al-Haram was not Masjid al-Aqsa. How? How could that be the case? We don't have any proof of anything in the Middle East called Masjid al-Aqsa, Masjid al-Haram. Nothing. There's Jami al-Aqsa on old maps, and then there's Mosque of Abu Bakr, Mosque of Omar. No Masjid al-Aqsa. No. If you go back to the stream Real Islam, the word abrogation sorry, let me just, for the benefit of my brother here. This is nastansikhu. When you go to this dictionary, okay? You can check for yourself. This word shows that there is a transcription involved. Let me show you. This same word, they put all of this here, okay? Copy, photocopy, transcribe. It means copying. We copy down. Nasikh, copying, transcribing. Copier, transcriber, copy machine, duplicate. You can also use duplicate. Copying. These are just modern definitions. Look, it says the Naskhi script. It says it right here. Abolition, abrogation, cancellation. Then why is it called duplicating? Why is it called... is this the abrogation script? No. I explained why they call it abrogation, where that definition came from. If you just go earlier a bit. Is there excuse of ignorance when it comes to shirk? Well, think about it. I mean, Allah says He doesn't forgive shirk, and then Bani Israel commit the highest shirk possible, and Allah says He forgave them for that. So I would say that, yeah, everyone commits shirk out of ignorance. It's the nature of our world. We grow up thinking that the society is righteous. And, you know, I was growing up, going to church. They show us all these little idols and icons and everything, priests. And literally, you go inside the Orthodox church. They have a little painting, photo, like a painting or icon. They call it icons. And you go up there and you say, oh, this is Mary and Jesus. You have to kiss this idol. Then people put money on it. They come around and they donate, they give money to the church. It's literally what Jesus was against in the New Testament. They turn it into a den of thieves, right? How can you blame a child for that? How can you blame any adult that just, their intentions are good, but that's all they know? When you have no, I mean, you could say ignorance, right? But every single person will not have an excuse. They will not have an excuse when it comes to the Day of Judgment. If it's in their capacity to understand its shirk, obviously, if it's out of your capacity, you're given a mercy in this life. But if it's in your capacity to understand its shirk, how can you claim ignorance? Oh, I didn't know. With the internet and everything, and it's like that means the Aramaic Quran is debunked. It's debunked. Do you know why, RMVB? Because Aramaic is a fake language. Nobody speaks Aramaic today. What, you have just a bunch of isolated peoples. They use it as a liturgical language. Some Jews, they know how to read Aramaic from the Bible. I think the book of Daniel is in Aramaic. They just made it from Arabic. It's obvious. They changed the meanings a bit. They switched around the meanings from Arabic. It's Arabic. Hebrew, distorted Arabic. Aramaic doesn't even have all the sounds. Look, let me show you. So Aramaic alphabet. There's 22 letters in Aramaic. There's 28 in Arabic. And these letters look like this over time. This is called the Imperial Aramaic font. Arabic has more information, more data than the languages it's supposed to derive from. That doesn't make sense. What are you on about? You saying verses missing? No. He doesn't say that for sure. I don't have any idea how to do salat, or even if we need to perform the actions. Okay, salat. Aisha, Muhammad, I advise you to do your due diligence and just look at what people talk about salat that have no bias when it comes to these hadith. Okay. I actually talked about salat briefly. I think I even gave you timestamps in the comments section. Let me find it. No excuse. So if I go to my channel here. This is for you, Aisha. How do we do salah? I put in the link. I put in the timestamps. I explain what it means. It's in your hands, okay? So I'm not saying I know what salah means, but we can at least agree on what it's not. It's in the Arabic there. Just watch it for yourself, okay? Where is the real Al-Aqsa? Can you give me a short answer? Okay, Al. The real Al-Aqsa, the Quran defines everything for you, okay? No, that's not the one. Let me see. I'll find it, don't worry. It's in this story. Qasiyan. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so Maryam in her story, she goes to a makanan qasiyan. This is the same word for Aqsa. Okay, you can see the screen. Al-Aqsa, the farthest, the most distant, the ultimate. Okay, I'm going to talk about this in part 6. There's no way around it, because this is related to the straight path. Allah took his servant in a night from Al-Masjid al-Haram to Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, which we have blessed, whose surroundings we have blessed. Hawlaha. Then here you have Aqsa of the Medina. So I myself cannot give you a definitive answer right now, because I need to really narrow down what this is talking about. I have an idea, but I don't want to mislead somebody in saying something incomplete, you know? So look out for part 6. Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. That's got to be something really profound. We've already really narrowed down Mecca as the center. Okay, that makes sense. So Al-Aqsa has to be like just unreachable for most people. Unreachable. Is the earth flat according to the Quran? I'm gonna give you some book recommendations. This is my brother, Walid Naim. He wrote a book called Flat Earth Manifesto. Okay. Where is he? This is Sam Garen's website. Okay. And you go to Walid Naim. He wrote the Flat Earth Manifesto. May Allah bless this brother for taking the time to do this. He's a young guy. But, yep. Just check it out. There's other resources as well. Literally, there's so many videos. I recommend you look into Endgame Islam. I recommend Sam Garen's videos. There's basic proofs for the Quran, saying we don't live on a spinning ball, and it's not even the surface. It's not just that. It gives you so much more details. The Bible doesn't even come close to the accuracy the Quran does about our cosmology. Okay. I got to be quicker with my responses because it's behind the comments here. Thank you everybody for watching, by the way. I really appreciate it. If you taking the time today to join me. Okay. Muslim men don't have to wear anything on their head, basically. Muslim men in the past wore turbans. Look. Women are not told what to do, what kind of clothing to wear in the Quran, except functionally over those parts that differentiate them from men. Men have long hair, men have hair, women have hair. What are the differences between men and women? It's obvious, right? It's cultural, clearly, because every culture has some kind of a format of what we call hijab or headscarf today. So if it's cultural, there's no religious mandate from the Quran, from Allah. He didn't leave anything from the book, right? So you should find it in there, and you don't. You don't find the word raka'at in the Quran. Doesn't that tell you it's something else? Okay. So Hur al-Ain in Quran is different than the ones in Hadith, yes or no? Yeah, Fafu. This is a great topic for a video, Hur al-Ain. Do you know why it's different? It's very obvious. Allah is not going to make a mockery of paradise that they have made in Hadith. 72 virgins? Are you kidding me? Why not 73? Why not 74? Why not 100? Why not infinite? The only connection that word has to the concept, the scholars of Islam, may Allah bless them, may Allah grant them birds, they're so wise that they have concluded this word means untouched virgins for all the shaheed, all the martyrs. No, it doesn't mean that at all, because the word ain, what does that mean? Eye? Are these one-eyed women in paradise? You know the plural of eyes is ayun, right? There's also another problem too, which is ain means spring. Hur. Hur means something that is like, for example, the root hawariyun, the disciples of Isa. That word is related to something that goes like a cycle, revolving around. Hawara, a revolution. Hawariyun are like revolutionaries of their time. Hur al-Ain is like the best thing you can, it's not conclusive, right? But the best thing you can see that as is this Jannah, because it's always mentioned with fruits, with grapes, with these things that just spawn spontaneously. It just regenerates, okay? So, you pick an apple and whoosh, comes out. Even the bodies of the believers in paradise, they're unlike our bodies right now. You cannot, everything about Jannah is totally different. Even Jahannam has a different type of spring as well. Like, for instance, like their bodies will grow back so they can be punished eternally. In Jannah, it's the opposite. This life, because we have a spring in us, right, in the dunya. That's why we call eyes, two springs, aynain. Okay. There's nothing to suggest that the ones in hadith have anything to do with what the Quran is saying. Head covering can be a big hardship. In a lot of circumstances, God wouldn't want unnecessary hardship for anyone. Absolutely. And that goes with most things. It's a general principle, right? They don't even use the right word. Yeah, I told you. Habala. Why do you say you are a follower? That is a taqlidi term, Sam, brother. Oh, okay. Don't get too hung up on words, guys. It's just people have different vocabulary. How did Muhammad travel to the North Pole, then to Arabia? Do you really think Arabia is where it is today? Ask yourself that question. Who are the ones that called it Arabia? Learning so much. Jazakallah khair. I'm new to all this. That's why I'm quiet listening. Well, thank you so much, Chanya. I appreciate it. Is Isa returning according to the Quran? Look, we can't say exactly how this world is going to look at the very end, near the hour, after the hour. What we do know is that Isa is clearly associated with a death. Tawafayna. We cause you to die, Isa. So, and then Allah raised him or exalted him to him. Ayn Rabb. What does that mean? I mean, they tell us that he was not crucified. I agree with that. And that basically he did not die, even though his death is related with him. But then Allah is taking him. Ayn Rabbi. Where is that? Where is that? Is that just in the heavens somewhere? Wherever Isa is at the moment, that's beyond our knowledge. Is he returning? Well, it doesn't make a difference to me if he returns or not, because my worldview is not based on Isa and the Mahdi and the Dajjal and all this conjecture. Okay. Rather, do you know Quranic Research Inc.? I've heard of it. I can't say I recall it. Arabia was likely deserted during the time of the Prophet. If you look at the Middle East, there was definitely an older civilization that was destroyed, and the result is the sand you see. Yeah, absolutely. The people in the Middle East seem to be very new to that climate and that landscape. If the Sunnah of Muhammad is in the Quran, then where? It doesn't say what he did or what he wore and all that stuff. Sorry, Aisha, I don't mean to laugh in a disrespectful way. I just never heard it phrased that way. Do you really think Allah, be honest with yourself, do you really think Allah is going to make it absolutely important to know what the Prophet wore? Is that the end-all, be-all of the Sunnah? Make sure you wear sandals, make sure you wear a thawb, make sure you wear, bakhur. No. That's not important. That just tells you hadith is so much nonsense, because people wear all kinds of different clothing culturally, of their time, for their profession. You can't have these mass prescriptions for people. People are varied by definition. Allah says that they're varied. You're gonna tell any culture in the world dress like these Arabs today in Qatar? No. What he did, it tells you a lot of what he did in the Quran. The problem is they never told you that the history of the Prophet Muhammad is in the Quran. I'm gonna share that eventually. You're gonna be surprised. By the way, let me make sure you understand. Sunnah of Muhammad is not a thing in the Quran. Why? Because Allah describes Sunnat al-Awwaleen and Sunnat Allah. See? The Prophet Muhammad does not own this sunnah belongs to God. And then people, because of how people are, they have invented their own sunnahs. Allah says the precedent of the former nations has come into effect. That word is sunnah, sunnah al-awwalin. They were destroyed for that sunnah. So you got to be careful which sunnah you follow. One can destroy your culture. The other one is God's sunnah. That's always a good thing. As-sunnah is sunnat Allah. I think I described this in the first live stream. So basically all the prophets had the same sunnah. Before the Prophet Muhammad was born, what were they following? There's nothing new among the messengers, right? The Prophet Muhammad himself says in the Quran, I have been sent, I've given you Millat Ibrahim. That's what he follows. Done. Who would want to live in a desert? They probably flood there or were placed there for the fake history narrative as orphans. Absolutely. Cover everything that promotes lust. Yeah, I mean, it's just anti-gogo. It's just common sense, right? Every culture has this concept of covering things that are just essential to cover. Like, we wouldn't be humans if we didn't cover this. You know what I mean? Aisha, it's sunnatullah. The Prophet wore is neither here nor there. Absolutely, yeah. We can't even say what he wore. Do you think he really wore that? Really? The Prophet was given the wealth and the treasures of the most advanced civilizations on earth in the Quran. And you're going to tell me he's dressed like a shepherd? Maybe he's very modest and he doesn't. I really doubt we have anything resembling the true history of the Prophet Muhammad in hadith. Fafu, where are the jinns? Well, the jinns are. I'm gonna talk about in chapter in part 6 of the Mecca series. I'll show you why the jinns have to exist in some place. And you may be surprised, but you've actually seen their world in the night sky. You've seen a map of their world in the night sky. This is totally new kind of, this is a new understanding for me as well. But basically, the jinn world is parallel to our world. Okay, so like, let me just give you an idea, right? Trying to find a good. There we go. This is our world, okay? The circle of the earth. This is the dunya right here. Let's say this is south, and this is where our world is. All the luminaries, all of the different stars, fixed stars, wandering stars, they all go around this pivot point. This is Mecca. This red line is the barzakh. Why? Because we have 2 seas in the Quran. Al-Bahrain baynahuma al-barzakh. Barzakhan. Okay? There's a partition, there's a barrier. It's not just a place where people go to die. It's literally a barrier. You know why it's a barrier? Let me show you. What does barzakh mean in Arabic? A barrier, 2 things. But it's not just a barrier. It actually means, so you can say hindrance, separation, obstacle. It actually means this in Arabic. Isthmus. Do you see this on the screen? A long, narrow stretch of land between 2 bodies of water. That's what barzakh means. You can walk on the barzakh. So, we say the spirits come from where? They come from the netherworld. So this world is clearly lower than ours in space. And we also say they come from the other side, from outer space. Aliens, right? Aliens, jinns. They come from outer space, the outer part, on the opposite side, the other side. What does the other side mean? There's a veil between them, right? This is where they are. They've always been in their land. And yes, because of what happened in our history, who knows? There is some kind of a allowance for these worlds to interact to bring about Allah's will. Brother, are you a Quranist? Well, here's the thing. Quranist nowadays is a loaded term because it's basically saying you are an ism. I'm not an ism or ist. And just a follower of the Quran. Maybe follower is the wrong word. I believe the Quran is the word of God. It's complete, fully detailed, neglected nothing, complete guidance, salvation, and it's unaltered, protected, authentic word of my Creator. They used all kinds of words, brother, for these people. They called them Ahl al-Kalam, they called them Khawarij, they called them Quraniyun. I don't have a problem with the word Quranist. Fine, you can use this idea. But the problem is that, there is no word for this technically. This Ahl al-Kitab, al-Kitab is related to the Quran. But you have also, Hanifan, Musliman. I call myself Muslim. According to the hadith, there's an end-time person coming to who is called Dajjal. This isn't in the Quran. Correct. There's no Dajjal in the Quran. Quran is a clarification for all things. Absolutely, yeah. So there's no end times in Islam. Of course there's end times. Of course. Just look at the chapter 21, verse 95. There's a conquest of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and then the hour comes. There's a war coming. There is an end times. We don't know when it comes. There's one or more signs of the hour coming closer. It will come unexpectedly. Absolutely. Hadith on Dajjal's continuation of lies promoted in the Gospel of Paul and Revelations. Yeah, just, I said this in the first live stream. Just watch, my video with Endgame Islam about 2 Dajjals, 2 Messiahs. The hour is unexpected. It has to be. Quran gives us signs of the end times. No one knows when that will be. There's no timeline. Yeah, it's by event basis. There's no prediction of when it will happen. Where is Iblis according to the Quran? How come we can't see him? Well, I'm going to talk about this when I mention the straight path. This is where Iblis is, guys. He says, because you have put me in error, ungratefully, he's lying, obviously, I will surely sit in wait for them on your straight path. You cannot sit on something in Arabic that is not physical. Does that make sense? The straight path is something physical. Sirataqa. He doesn't even acknowledge it's his. It's Allah's, it's the path Allah set for everyone. He distances himself. He says it's your path. Because Shaitan styles himself as a god. That's why we can't see Shaitan. He's in the sides of the north. The Bible even talks about this. That's why he says, I will get you from their north, from the south, from the west, from behind them, from in front of them. He's in a very critical spot. He is attacking us where we can't see him because we don't have access. We can't go there. The governments of the world do not allow us to go there. I'm going to have to take a break soon, guys. Let me see. Where did I go? Hadith lovers really want to idolize the Prophet. It's weird. Yeah, absolutely. The Quran doesn't say much about the Prophets and mostly in Hadith. No. Fafu, don't get me wrong. The Prophet's stories in the Quran are 100% completely detailed. And it's not like that Bible where you have to go read this long chapter of this boring prose. It gives you all the details you need so you can investigate. The Quran loves thinkers. The Quran loves people that investigate, reflect. And I'm going to make a video series, inshallah, on the stories of the prophets from the Quran. I'm going to make a video series, inshallah, on the stories of the prophets from the Quran. It's gonna be amazing, inshallah. The Quran does talk about Muhammad, but yes, you're right. Most of the hadiths have more info. This information is put in there because these people that fabricated this stuff, all the hadith, the Bible, they take advantage of the Quran's conciseness, and they say, no, it's not complete. Basically, it didn't give you any of the story. We'll put in the details for you. They say the devil's in the details, eh? Muslim means you acknowledge that the only way to live properly is in accordance to the laws Allah created, and the world works this way no matter what you believe. For sure. It's better to not choose to not be deluded. Live your best life as best as you can in line with these laws before it's too late. Absolutely. In the last live stream of Baba Shu'aib and Muhammad Hijab, he explained the Hindiyatis very well with the Quran. Very much recommend that. Muhammad Hijab outs himself as a mushrik. He doesn't say the words, but that's what he's saying without saying it. If every hadith is false, who wrote all of them? LOL. Fafu, I notice you have a two-part question here. Do you consider every hadith to be made up? Look, Allah says very clearly in Surah Al-Baqarah, do not dress the truth with falsehood while you know it. What does that mean? That means every falsehood is covering some element of truth that it's based on. Nobody can come up with something as a complete lie. So let's say, the concept of hadith is not a bad thing. It's neutral. The word is neutral in the Quran. Hadith. It just means a report. I don't consider every hadith to be made up. What I say is we have no way of verifying which one is correct, we have no way of verifying which one is from the Prophet Muhammad. You know why? Because clearly they're not all from Prophet Muhammad. Even if you take just the authentic hadith, they contradict with each other. They have all kinds of shirk. I'm going to make a whole video, inshallah, about hadith. But think about it this way. Even if you found the most beautiful hadith ever, knowing that the corpus of hadiths, a hadith, the corpus of it, right? All those books that you see behind those, Sunnis, it's clearly compromised, okay? So if you found the best one, doesn't conflict with the Quran, good wisdom, beautiful words, you can apply to your life. How do you know that's from the Prophet Muhammad? Or are you just using your desires to say that, I like this one, so it's from the Prophet Muhammad? No. Do not consider hadith anything as a guidance. It's not complete. It's tempered. It's political. It's immoral, many of them. Many of them are against the Quran, open kufr in hadith. So just look at it like the Bible. That's the best advice I can give you. There's much truth in the Bible. There's much truth in hadith. No problem. But I can't confirm that's from the Prophet. I can't confirm that's from Allah. That's it. Do you reject the Quran as a fully detailed book? Of course he doesn't. I know everybody knows in their heart that the Quran is fully detailed. It makes sense. The Creator is not going to send down something to be a new installment, The people who wrote the hadiths wrote the modern Bibles most likely. Of course. Brother, all I'm saying is all Adil's hadiths are false, then can't use any hadith for as evidences. No, not at all. The reason I use hadith for evidences is to show you that the people who don't like where the Quran is telling you have evidence of what the Quran is saying in their own hadith. A good example is, so basically what I'm saying is, brother Fafu, hadith, your questions make me laugh sometimes because it's begging like something has to be true, and then you're basing on an assumption that it's true. Like we have to bow to this Kaaba and go. Take away all of the notions and assumptions you have from Sunni or Shia Islam. Just take them all out and let the Quran speak for itself. Okay. So, like I said to your first two questions, I'm not saying the hadith are all false. Because the principle of lies is they have to have an element of truth to make them believable, right? Nobody's going to believe that, if I tell you, red is blue. No, they're different colors. They have to mix truth with lies. It's always like that. So obviously there could be hadiths that are valid, like the one that Kenneth Blaine mentioned, that the Prophet Muhammad saw the aurora borealis in a hadith. That's in a hadith. He saw the aurora borealis from the North Pole. Yeah. They mock us in hadith. They mock us in the Bible. They mock us in our history. They mock us in our cosmology, in our sciences. They mock us in our politics. The people that are a ma'ashar al-jinn wal-insi. This is a conspiracy, brothers and sisters. So, to answer your question, I use the hadith against itself to prove my point. If you don't want to take the Quran as a source of information that's reliable, that you need hadith, fine. Your hadith says there's a tree you can ride for 100 years and not cross its branches. It's called Tuba. I put it in part 5 of my Mecca series. How does that work on a globe? You have to ask yourself, if you're a Sunni Muslim, how do you have a tree that big on a globe? Where is that tree? Oh, it's in Jannah. It's from the unseen. Okay. Well, Jannah is on earth. Jannah is right now. It's not in our dunya. But the question is, why not try to understand why that hadith exists? There are many such hadith like this, right? The hadith are just another mythology. There's truth in it, but it's not a complete guidance. And Fafu, just think about it. How do you know, how does any human being know they collected every single hadith from the Prophet Muhammad? We know that the Quran, every single verse that's supposed to be in there is in there. But we have no idea if the Prophet Muhammad had other hadith that never made it into the volumes, or he never got the chance to say them. Because he's a human being. How can we ever think that somebody who's guided, that was an orphan, somebody who made a sin in the Quran, like any human being would be treated like a god, that every speech he says is valid? The question you have to deal with, if you follow these books and their authentications, even though they've changed their authenticity all throughout the ages, even though they contort to the biblical history, which contradicts the Quran, even though they follow the fake timeline of 1,000 years being added, even though they make horrific ascribing to Allah, to the Prophet, to his companions and everything. To other prophets, they slander other prophets in hadith just like the Bible. I'm sorry. It's not salvageable yet. It's not salvageable yet. If you want hadith so bad, study the Quran first. Then you'll get a better idea of, what to look for in hadith, basically. What is the reason we bow down to Kaaba and North Pole? Is it for worship? Why are we doing it? Look, these are questions we are still figuring out, because salat has been totally, the meaning of it has been totally fabricated. That's why Allah doesn't pray upon the Prophet. It cannot be prayer. You see? What is the reason we bow down to the Kaaba? They have made a mockery of the Kaaba, of Masjid al-Haram, of Mecca, of Salat, of Zakat, of Sawm and Siyam, of Hajj. They made a mockery of all of it in Arabia today. And it's basically just a mindless ritual now. But clearly, they're trying to show you in plain sight aspects of the truth. To mock you, to mock us. And you can go to Hajj tomorrow, or Umrah tomorrow, or Hajj within the 6 days, even though the Quran says months. And you will come back unchanged. It won't affect you whatsoever. A lot of criminals do Hajj to wash away their sins like nothing happened, without any reform in their actions. Okay? So clearly the real place the real place, has a tangible effect on your biology, on your psychology. If you were to go tomorrow, Fafu, and you were to circumvent all of the governments of the world that have conspired to keep us away from the Northern Lights source, okay? You will never ever think that these candidate Kaabas in Yemen or Saudi Arabia or Jerusalem or Petra, you'll never think that's from God. Never. You know why? Because when you go up there and you see the majesty of that place, I'm not saying I've been there. I'm saying this is a hujjah, hujjat Allah. This is an argument of God's supremacy and existence they don't want humans to know about. They don't even have it on the map. So whatever we do with the rituals, as-Safa and al-Marwa, that remains to be explained. But I know that Mecca is in the center of the world. He never said bow to North Pole. Yeah, I never said that because it's debatable what bowing is in the Quran, if even it is in the Quran. Al-Fatiha. I'll get back to the ARMBV. Yeah, I'll mention that briefly. I just want to get through the questions and then I can go back to that. Koshin Garani. Great work. Grateful for your thorough analysis. Much appreciated. It's my pleasure. Haytham Bilbaisi. Do you think each Arabic letter has an esoteric meaning? I love this side of the Quran. I love Arabic for this very reason. Every Arabic letter does have an esoteric meaning. A lot of people have done this work in the Arabic language, and basically, there's something amazing about this. So you take 28 letters. Okay, let me just show you here. Arabic is a celestial language, guys. This is what's known as the sun and moon letters, okay? You can see it on the screen. From Alif to Ya. 4 rows of 7, the perfect number. 14 of them, 2 pairs of 7, 14 of them in red are the sun letters. 14 of them in black, 2 pairs of 7, are the moon letters. So these are terminology, right? This is terminology, but it's significant, right? So this is known in the Arabic language that when you pronounce, for example, ta or tha, you don't pronounce the lam of the definite article before a noun that starts with these red letters. So it would be like at-teen, the fig. At-teen. There's no al-teen. Al-tha'lib. Not al-tha'lib. It's al-tha'lib, the fox. Right? Ar-Rahman. There's no al-Rahman. It's Ar-Rahman. The other ones, the black ones, you do pronounce the lam, like al-Kahf. Right? Al-Mursaleen. Okay? So there's an esoteric meaning to each letter. I don't have the time to go into all of them. And it's not really esoteric. It's actually very obvious. You don't need to be part of some secret society to figure that out. You just have to look it up. Yeah, Brother Bilal. Brother Bilal actually did a very good book. I haven't read it, but I know of it. I think it's worth a read. Honestly, I should probably order it. How do you understand Surah 2, verse 185? I mean, do you fast monthly for a number of days or just once a year for 29 to 30 days? Sorry if you haven't already answered this. I might have missed it. No, I didn't answer it, actually. Let me just find that for you, okay? Thankfully, Aisha Muhammad has posed this question for us. And all you have to do, when you're talking about Ramadan, Ramadan has a meaning connected to it. Ramadan. So you just have to watch, and this is a preliminary. I can't say everything about Ramadan because this is like these topics are so deep. You have to literally go and solve it, like dive into every verse in the Quran and understand it from so many layers to get this meaning. It takes some time, but it's doable. So Surah 2, verse 185. Let's just open that up, shall we? I really need to take a break. I've been, how long have I been live? Almost 2 hours. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريض أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. I love how the Quran is so just magnificently crafted. ولتكملوا العدة ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. Okay, so the main contention really is there fasting? I don't have a problem with fasting. I think fasting is very healthy. I think fasting is something we do every night. You go to bed, you don't eat any food or drink any water, and you wake up healthier every time. Why? Because your body is getting rid of these toxins. You do that longer, you get more benefit. You do that for enough time. Basically, the Quran is saying, the way that Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims practice fasting is known as intermittent fasting. So you have one meal a day. It's supposed to be a healthy meal. You're not supposed to splurge, okay? You're supposed to have a one meal a day, healthy meal. Then you go next day, you start fasting again. So there's that. But you're talking about the month, right? The month of Ramadan. Think about it this way, right? If you go to this, is it this one? No. If you go to this video, this is the forgotten meanings of the Islamic months. Notice, today in Islam, we use the same months, the Hijri calendar. We use the same names as the Quraysh allegedly used for their calendar. The only difference is the Quraysh actually followed the sun and the moon to calculate time, exactly as the Quran says to do. But our lovely scholars, they said, no, the sun is just for salah timing. No. Look in the Quran, it says the sun and the moon are for calculating time, seasons, space, everything. This is not to be understated. So you go, Rabi' means spring. But if you notice, this year, Rabi' happened in the winter. We need to have this real Quranic calendar come back so that we can actually have the seasons in the months they're supposed to happen in. Let me give you a good example. If you want to follow this lunar calendar that the religion of modern Islam has crafted for you, ask yourself this. Why in 2030 there will be 2 Ramadans? Did you know that? 2030. There will be 2 Ramadans in 2030. Guys, this is not the real calendar. This is ridiculous. Because in 2030, you will celebrate one in January and one in December. This has happened multiple times too, every so often. I really doubt that this calendar works. So just watch this video. I actually, if you go to this community post, Chanya, I think, Chanya? Yeah, if you go to this community post, you'll find the timing of Ramadan that makes the most sense. You know why? Because the autumn equinox in September, the 7th month of the original calendar, that's why it's called September, has an equal length to the day and the night. That means if you're in Norway, or you're in New Zealand, or you're in Mecca, or you're in South Africa, you're going to fast pretty much the same amount of time, maybe a few minutes difference. It's negligible. Not this people fast 5 hours, and these people fast, what, 20 hours, 25 hours. Sometimes the people in the very far reaches of the north, they're in complete darkness. There is no sunset. When do they break their fast? They can't. It doesn't work. It has to be in the equinoxes, where everybody has night and day. So really what you see is it just doesn't work. Especially when it's like in a very, very hot, arid climate. It's actually dangerous to fast in that climate. Like in Kuwait or, you know, parts of the Middle East, it gets up to 50, 55 degrees in the summer. You're not going to go with water. You're just going to stay indoors. The government tells those people to stay indoors when it's that hot. It's dangerous to just be outside, let alone fast. Okay. I'm already familiar with Brother Bilal's work. Yep. Check out Vibes of Cosmos for the true map of the Earth. Vibes of Cosmos is on the right track for sure, but I don't think it's the true map of our continents. I'm going to explain that later. I really believe you cannot use that map for navigation, but it has hints of what our world looks like. For sure. I'll make a video about that for part 6 of the Mecca series, inshallah. I'd like to hear your take on Gog and Magog, who they are. I have an idea, but would love to hear educated take. Okay, Level Earth. Gog and Magog are human beings. They're human beings. They're a nation. Maybe not a nation. Maybe they're more like a grouping of people. They're not zombies. They're not some other race of beings. They're humans. Maybe jinns can be included in Gog and Magog, but for purposes of simplicity, they're human beings. And let me show you what they look like. They look like you and me. You go here to the World Economic Forum, and you find out these people here. Okay. You see these people? You see these people here, G20 leaders? This is Gog and Magog here. There they are. They're just these puppets. And there's people behind them as well. Now, if you don't think the world is run by a consortium of people that have a conspiracy against the Quran, against God, against the believers, against mankind, you need to really reflect. And I know Level Earth, you know that they're in on it, because why would they hide this Earth being that way it is, right? Basically, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are mentioned a couple times in the Quran. Let's just find the verses, shall we? I think I'll find it for you here. So Dhul Qarnayn is the first mention in Surah Al-Kahf of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Okay? And these people tell him, Ya Dhul Qarnayn, indeed Ya'juj and Ma'juj are corruptors in the earth. That's not a small statement, right? Clearly these people are something serious. And what we get from hadith is basically they say that Dhul Qarnayn built a barrier not around them, but a barrier to prevent them from going into our world, into our lands. And somewhere near the Day of Judgment, they will come back, they will burst through the wall, and they will descend upon the earth. Nothing can be further from the truth. These people run the world today. Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. What are they defined by? East and west. Dhul Qarnayn, he goes to the setting of the sun, west. Punish these people or don't punish them. He goes to the east. Then he goes to the middle, right? And basically, they tell us there's corruptors in the world. These people are related to the eastern and western nexuses of power, just from the story itself. And we have no evidence that they have been locked away or imprisoned or they're behind some kind of wall. What we see is that basically they are the ones that run the world today. And here's an evidence why. The second time they're mentioned is in Surah Al-Anbiya. It talks about a city, which there's a haram upon that city. Okay? And basically, people will not return to that haram city until when these people are conquered. Why would they have to be conquered? No, it doesn't say opened. Futihat. Futihat. You see, we've fatahna. We have conquered for you, O Muhammad. A clear conquest. That's what this is. So they are in power today, and so hence they need to be conquered. We're not waiting for them to be released. They're out there now. This is part of the deception, guys. People are waiting for Gog and Magog to show themselves. They're all over your television. They're all over your institutions. They have created these religions. They have created all these fake histories, everything fake cosmology. These people are Gog and Magog. They're not a race per se. They're not, they stretch from west to east and all of their little minions in between. They're devils from mankind. Verses about the seas being ink and trees being pins, Allah's words never be exhausted. Shows there's no place for hadith in our hearts. Absolutely, Haytham, I agree. Big question, what's your idea on what happened since the time of the Prophet? If the mainstream history is fabricated, who fabricated it and why? Well, Isaac, thank you for the question. Essentially, there's been a reset. There has been a reset in our world. I believe it's mentioned in chapter 44 of the Quran. The Prophet Muhammad is not that far away from us in time. You can look for yourself the lineages tracing back to the Prophet Muhammad, the chains of narrators, they don't add up to the amount that they claim. So the Prophet Muhammad is nearer to us in time, and whatever happened during his time was very significant because we had some kind of a cataclysm. We had a major cataclysm in the world that rendered the civilization reset. Just look up these resets. This is what the Tartaria people have all been showing some kind of evidence for, right? Just they show up and all these cities are just buried. Then you go other places, it's just desert. They're just sand everywhere, rubble everywhere, mud everywhere. And there's no people in the photographs. People are they just left behind all these orphans. They left behind all these women, orphans. They don't know anything. What happened in our recent history that they have sought to hide so much truth about? You guys, we are the akhirin. We're the akhirin. Do you think there's no Fir'aun at our time? Do you think there's no Qawm Lut in our time? There's no As-Samiri of our time? All these things are relevant to us now, including the Prophet Muhammad. They fabricated the mainstream history. These same people that were being fought, that are supposed to be conquered before the hour, these are the ones that are the epitome of corruption on this earth in our history of all time. And you can even see like let me find it here. One sec. This is not the one. Let me show you here. 1895. So basically, Dhul-Qarnayn makes this super advanced structure, and Ya'juj and Ma'juj are not able to do any penetration. Why would you penetrate something? And it doesn't say they couldn't scale it. It says they couldn't. It was not apparent to them. Do you see that? Scale it. The word in Arabic is dhahara, something that's made apparent to them. It's something very advanced. Okay. It was not made apparent to them. They're not able to penetrate it. This word naqban is used only 3 times in the Quran. One time the root is used for Bani Israel. We made them naqib. This is where we get the word niqab from as well. It's some kind of a penetration of something. So Bani Israel are described in many sources as being the most numerous people on earth. We could all be Bani Israel and not know it. We probably are. Ya'juj and Ma'juj, same idea. It's like a faction of humanity, right? It's not a race. It's not. Clearly, some peoples are way more represented in Ya'juj and Ma'juj than others. Just look at the wars. Where did all the wars happen? Who fought all the wars? What do these people tend to look like? Okay, that doesn't mean it's just them. It's a consortium. So I hope that gives some food for thought. You guys are coming out with the big guns, okay? Why are we on Earth in the first place? Where are we here? Where are we or why are we? Well, I think we meant where are we and why are we on Earth? Brother, this is in Allah's knowledge. Clearly, Allah decided to make all of this happen for a reason. Allah can do whatever He wants. He could have not made any of this exist. He decided to make all this exist and happen exactly as He wanted to. He's outside of time and space. He sees the ending. He sees the beginning. He sees every part of it. So, yeah, I can't really say. That's a really massive, massive question. Why are we here on Earth? Why do you feel you're here on Earth? What is your point? Allah says we did not create them except to serve us. Why do we need to serve Him? What is the essence of that ayah speaking? There's something that the creation, it's almost like the creation does exist just to show that Allah is supreme. You know, I can't go further than that. So look, Rama, do men have to have beards according to the Quran like long beards? Arabah 41. There are many people on earth, many men that cannot grow beards. They cannot even grow mustaches, okay? I happen to be fortunate enough to grow a beard and a mustache. Many peoples, like Native Americans, East Asian peoples, so many other peoples, even among all the different peoples on earth, they just can't grow a beard from men. Does it make sense to you that Allah would make something mandatory that's not even universal? No. If there's exceptions to the rule, major exceptions to the rule, entire peoples and tribes that cannot grow beards, it's not important. Again, the people that have to grow beards are from Kabbalah. Just like the women that have to wear headscarves, that's Kabbalah. You can look it up. There's no incentive. You can if you want. Maybe it's healthier for you. Maybe you like it. Maybe you like to style your beard. In Salafi Islam, Salafism, they tell you you're not allowed to trim any part of it. No part of it. Until you can reach a beard that you can grasp with your fist. Isn't that ridiculous? We're all going to come with these big beards. And then they say you can't imitate the kuffar. There's literally polytheistic nations like the Babylonians. that have these giant long beards. The pharaohs, giant long fake beards. You see the problem? You're a kafir if you cut your beard and shave your beard and trim your beard to your own standards, because Allah doesn't care about these things. This is where He gives leeway to different peoples and what they want to follow, what their unique tendencies are, the unique interests. Are we all supposed to be these perfect angels wearing thayab, wearing hijab, and just praying all day? Allah gives the believers diversity. Muhajirin wal ansar, alladhina amanu was sabi'un. Grading of hadith is pure blind following. Yeah, you can never. It's a pseudoscience. I'll explain in a video, inshallah. So to answer that, wear a beard if you like the beard. I happen to like beards, like Arba. How old was Prophet's wife Aisha, and how many wives did he have according to Quran? Is it less than hadith? I don't even approach that topic because at the moment I'm undecided when it comes to that. It doesn't affect my faith whatsoever. I just know that whatever's in hadith clearly clashes with the Quran. You know why? Aisha's name is not mentioned in the Quran. Khadija's name is not mentioned in the Quran. The Prophet's daughters, they're mentioned. He has daughters, but their names are not mentioned. We don't even know how many daughters he had. We don't know how many wives he had. The word for wife is ambiguous according to how they translate the Quran. So that's something that needs to be looked at closer. But what you should do is assume you don't know anything about the Prophet's relationships, about the Prophet's marriages, and just go to the Quran. Look at every time the word zawj, azwaj, is used. That will help you. That's what I would do to find that answer. How do you spell the name of your drink? Kenneth Blaine thankfully put it there for you. Yerba mate. Are there any Muslims in North Pole right now? Is there proof from Quran they're there? To them, to my best of my knowledge, we don't know what's up there. I don't think anyone is there because, like I told you, they will never return until Yajuj and Majuj are conquered. That place is protected. That area is occupied by Shaitan's forces. He cannot actually go in there, but he's got the surroundings of that sides of the north. That's why the big battle will happen there. Yawm al-Qiyamah. They tell you this, Hadith tell you this. Yawm al-Qiyamah will happen there, in the center of the world. If you watch this Mecca series, the answer: no believers there at the moment, occupied by disbelievers. Yeah, mushrikeen. Mushrikeen are the ones keeping people, diverting them from Mecca. It doesn't make sense. The place is secure. No. You don't understand, F, with all due respect. The place is secure, but that place has clearly been abandoned by whatever happened there. Okay? That was a pivotal point. That's why nobody seems to know their history. Nobody seems to know where they come from. Nobody has a lineage. Nobody has any memory of what happened beyond their great-great-grandfather. There's a haram on the place, but the Muslims are in exile. This is what they say to Jews, because Judaism is a pseudo-Islam. The Muslims are in exile. They're waiting to go back to their temple, their masjid. And their prophet will take them there. The Quran mentions no names of the prophet's wives. Absolutely, yeah. We can find this stuff in the Quran. We can do some work and figure this out through logic, through the revelation, but fasting has nothing to do with taqwa. Okay. That the Quran indirectly mentions Aisha. And that's the thing. They put that story in there. She's not a woman. Sorry. She's not a woman if she's 9 years old and going through her monthly cycles. That's not a woman. They'll tell you both. They'll tell you on EF Dawah. Oh man, I have lots of questions. Okay. They'll tell you both. They'll tell you if a woman reaches her monthly cycle, like a girl has her first monthly cycle, she's a woman. And then they'll say, no, it's not really true. She has to be mentally sound and mature. The Quran says, women and those women who have not menstruated yet, you can marry them if they're believing women. No prepubescent women, no prepubescent girls. Ibn Kathir, whoever this Ibn Kathir is, he analyzed that verse incorrectly. It's a Surah Al-Tahrim, I think. He says that means girls that are not on their monthly cycle. Astaghfirullah. Rather, no offense, but where they look, you can't tell people what to wear or what not to wear. That's not the point. We don't want to be like these hadithans. Phenomenon of 2 Ramadans a year suspiciously happens every 33 years. You're right. Actually, you're right, Soaring Bird. Thank you so much for bringing that. 33 years suspiciously is when they have 2 Ramadans. They haven't mocked you enough, eh? Yeah, I suggest you watch this. Yeah, Mecca series will answer some questions for sure. Fafu, where are you from? If you don't mind me asking what country, I can't tell the accent. I'm from Canada, originally from Yugoslavia, raised in Canada. So that's that. The way we write Arabic today, is it correct because old Arabic looks way different? That's a very good question. At the moment, there's nothing to suggest people didn't write Arabic like they do today in the past. That being said, maybe there's a more sophisticated way of writing Arabic that is based on what we write today. Clearly, Kufic doesn't fit the bill only because Kufic needs, for the purposes of the Mus'haf Quran, for the purpose of the Mus'haf, it needs like those markings, right? So you can read the Quran accurately in one way. Kufic doesn't have that. Kufic is artistic anyway. It's not meant to be a Mus'haf. What hat would you prefer me to wear? Yeah, I'm wearing a hat too because my hair's not the greatest. Shahrul Ramadan. Hot Spring, are you Turkish by any chance? I noticed that's how it's written in Turkish. Is it really a month Quran was revealed in Shahrul Ramadan? It looks like a period rather than a month. Look, my approach is if I don't find evidence to the contrary or I haven't, because it's impossible to look at everything at once, right? There's so many topics. I'm okay with the fact that Shahr Ramadan is something like what we call a month today. Okay? If it signifies a period, then we have to distinguish that from other periods, right? In the Quran. One of which is an iddah, waiting period. In that verse, both of those words are used, iddah and shahr. What's the difference? They're both periods, right? So I can't really go into detail. How does Satan control people and what method is he using? If he's all the way hiding in some place, how does he control Gog and Magog and others? I'm so glad you brought this up, okay? Shaitan, remember, Shaitan is a jinn. Shaitan is very old, very old. He pre-exists Adam. God only knows how old Shaitan is. He is, like, to us, an alien, okay? And we believe he exists and he's a real entity. Very clear enemy to us. Not just to us, also jinns too. The jinns do not like this Iblis Shaitan. They call him a fool, the believing jinns. Do you think that people don't go there? People go there. But you have to be part of the special clubs to go there. What do you notice when you see people go to the Arctic? They're wearing red. This is Putin, okay? And his cronies, they're wearing red. Why are they wearing red in the Arctic? Where are they going? What's up there? What's the point of going up there? It's just ice, right? Why is the Arctic called Russia's Mecca? Same I would ask for John Kerry. John Kerry. They say this is Antarctica, right? But how would you know the difference? How would you know the difference when it's just all ice? You have no context where they're going. They could be going to some sides of the earth. Who knows? Why are they wearing red? They have to wear red. Who wears red? Okay. The occult. They wear red always. It's like a stereotype trope. The occult wears red in their rituals. Who else wears red? This guy wears red. And he's an anagram of Shaitan, Satana, Satan. Okay? That's why they teach every child in the dunya pretty much. Santa Claus lives in the north. Satan's claws. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you're sleeping. The jinn have a very strange physiology. They're like almost like remote viewing, astral projecting. They can go vast distances very easily. That's in the Quran. Do you not think that these people go to Shaitan and pledge their allegiance? Of course they do. Of course they do. Where did I stop here? Okay. So it's very easy for Shaitan to control people. The jinns are like a hive mind. That's just part of their physiology. They speak as a hive mind in the Quran. Ya qawmana. That's the only time you hear this. All the other human messengers, they say Ya qawmi as individuals. Okay? So you can see, you know. Fast for a number of days, not once a year, for 1 month called Ramadan. You can do the same Garen's fast. What he's also interpreted that way. No problem. You can fast outside of Ramadan, guys. There's clearly a lot of work to be done on the difference between Sawm and Siyam. They're not the same. It's like Qawm and Qiyam, right? They're related, same root, but not the same. Yeah, I agree, subhanAllah, they're amongst us already. Just look around, guys. Corruption is everywhere. What about Shahada? Do people have to say that to be Muslim or not? Well, Jannah, I'm glad you brought that up because Shahada means testifying. And Shaheed is a witness. There's no martyrs because the word is witness. Allah calls himself Ash-Shaheed. Does that mean he's a martyr? Astaghfirullah, never. He is a witness, the witness of everything. So, Al-Islam, I talked about it a little bit in the last live stream, but Al-Islam is basically the operating system of the creation. Animals are Muslim. Plants are Muslim. Stars are Muslim. The luminaries are Muslim. The earth is Muslim. The heavens are Muslim. The jinns and the humans, those are the only two things with free will that we know of that have the choice to choose this natural order, natural law. Deen is related to judgment. It's related to law, legislation, right? So they can choose. Your body works on Islam. The way your lungs work, the way your heart works, the way your brain works. If you eat junk food, you go against Islam. I don't care if it's halal. It can be junk food still. They make haram things halal for you, like medications, like, for instance, the little thing that they made everyone roll up their sleeve for. They said, it's all halal, guys, no problem. It's not sihr. It's not sorcery. It's all halal. It's not alchemy. It's not modifying your gene pool. That's all halal, guys. As far as I know, the Shahada is Ibrahim says the Shahada in the Quran. La ilaha illa, la ilaha illahu, la ilaha illallah. Beyond that, it's implied that you believe in the messenger, right? Because if you didn't, you wouldn't really believe in Allah. That's why obey Allah and the messenger, because the messenger is the one responsible for delivering the Quran to humans and jinns. So denying the messenger, you cannot believe in Allah. Denying Allah, like the kuffar, you cannot believe in the messenger. So the shahada is basically you are taking it upon yourself to go on this straight path. What makes them Ya'juj and Ma'juj? If they are human like us, what's the difference? They are evil. Ya'juj and Ma'juj are a special class of humans that they have a history. You go back to Pharaoh, Beni Israel. You know how this says, Beni Israel will cause corruption twice? They have caused corruption twice in the earth. Ya'juj and Ma'juj are like this kind of dichotomy of corruption that is just the worst possible thing. Like, we can't even imagine what deplorable things they do behind the scenes. I don't even know if I can mention a lot of them. Okay. Let me show you an example. Have you guys heard of this? These are churches around the world, and they're decorated with human skulls and human bones. Have you seen this stuff? Look at how many human bones decorate these churches. Human bones, skulls. There are underground caverns in major cities like Paris, millions of skulls. Where did these people come from? Who are these people? What is this? What is this macabre? Muqabr comes from Arabic. Macabre, muqabr. So many examples of this, guys. It's grotesque. You have to ask, why are the bones so polished and clean, as if they were cooked? Do you know the Quran talks about cannibalism? Would you like to eat the flesh of your brother? If you don't think Gog and Magog are something significantly bad, just look into things like this. I know it's uncomfortable, but our history is very horrific. This is what Beni Adam, Beni Israel can be capable of. I'm not saying they're one class of people. I'm saying this is what can go on when you don't follow this guidance. Okay. Should we abandon food and water during Ramadan? Look, Indiana Genesis, many people have found the Quran not to talk about fasting at all. There are some interesting things that point to maybe fasting is something totally misunderstood. Yeah, I can't comment either way. I don't have the right to say either or on that. For something like salah, that's something you can show. There's another word for prayer, and it's something significant for near the end of time. Maybe fasting is the same way. Maybe fasting the night, and it says when the thread of the night. It seems like there's something significant for the last day about this fasting. Jannah, where is Muhammad today? Do you really want to know? We can't say a definite on that, Jannah. Basically, it's an educated guess using the Quran. But it's very clear that the Prophet Muhammad has not done his mission. Yeah. Please, if you ever have any doubt that Mecca is anything, if you ever believe that Mecca is anything except what they tell you, right? Just watch part 2 of my Mecca series. You'll see that this is a theme park they've created for Muslims. You did not witness a month, you witnessed an event, a period, something like that. Yeah, I know, Hot Spring. There is a place on earth where it's Ramadan all year. Okay. We have to do more research on that stuff. Where do you think Allah sends down the command? Where does the water from the heavens come down? Where does the command come down? Where do the angels descend like on a stairway? We don't have access to this place. It is a place. Salamun alaikum, Usaf Kathrada. Jannah, how many wives can a man have? Is it correct? He answer is 4. Is a controversial topic. You want to bring up the verse? Okay. I'll show you the verse here. There's only one verse in the Quran where people get this idea of polygamy. And let me just find it for you here. There it is. Verse 3, chapter 4. So it says, and if you fear that you will not deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry those that please you of women, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you will not be just, then one or those your right hand possesses that is more suitable, that you may not incline to injustice. There's a lot of word salad in that. Okay, not the verse, in the translation. And if you fear that you will not tuqsitu fil yatama, orphans, marry what seems suitable, طاب لكم من النساء, so it has to be women, not girls, women. مثنى وثلاثة ورباع. Let me ask you something. Is this 2 or 3 or 4? Is that what you would write in Arabic if you said 2 or 3 or 4? No, it's not. Everybody knows 2 in Arabic is اثنين. 3 is ثلاثة. 4 is أربعة. So why does it say مثنى, ثلاثة, ثلاثة, رباع? Why does it say that? And why does it say and? You see this here? Wa. Not or. Or is أو. It can also be but wa is and. So it's saying marry the women 2 and 3 and 4. Should we all have 4 wives? No. They are playing around with the ignorance of people that have abandoned the Quran. You look at the word mathna. What do you see here? Oh, wait, that's pairs. Do you marry a pair of women as your second wife? No, look at this verse. When you stand for Allah in pairs and individually, then give thought. This is the kicker too. This is about the angels having wings. The angels have wings. Get this. Al-malaikati rusulan, the angels, messengers, possessing or bearing ajnihati, wings. Mathna wa thulatha wa ruba'a. What angel has 3 wings? That would be not symmetrical. 3 pairs of wings. I can't tell you definitively what this implies, but clearly Allah's not saying 2, 3, or 4 for the angels. Mathna وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. And this one really shows you, highlights it, because this is 4. Rabi' is 4th. You know what this means? Ruba'a. You can search it up here. I'll show you. This means quarter. Are you getting a quarter of a wife? No. So this verse has problems with their translation. Let's go back to the chat. Big question. How does Allah look like according to Salafis? He's a man. Astaghfirullah. May Allah forgive us for having these people do such a wrong, injustice. Clearly, it is anthropomorphic, right? Because they say Allah has a shin, Allah has all these things. Yeah, you're right, MTMP. Maybe it's not a number. Maybe it's qualitative. I'm open to that. So basically, yeah, Salafis. I mean, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. These people call themselves Muslims. Salaf as-Salih. These people are such hypocrites, man. Anthropomorphic Allah Salaf. Salafis reject this opinion because Allah can explain himself, so ta'weel is prohibited. So what they say, they make an excuse, Fafu, they make an excuse and they say that, oh, we are not saying this is a hand of Allah. It's not like any other hand, but it is a hand. Well, this is not his face of Allah, but it's a face. This is not his shin, but it's not like a shin of anyone else, but it's a shin. If you're a child, Muhammad Hijab, Mr. Muhammad Hijab, he tells you, this is ridiculous. What is a child supposed to think if you tell them Allah has all of these body parts? Astaghfirullah. He pictures a man. The child will picture a man. That's exactly what the Christians do. They make these paintings. I'm not saying that these words are metaphorical in the Quran. I'm saying that Allah does not have body parts. I'm not saying Allah is an ether, astaghfirullah. I'm saying He is beyond time and space. There is nothing like Him. And when Allah has something, like it says, for instance, in the Quran, hand of Allah. Question: did Allah state that hand is connected to Him at all? No. He just has a hand, like a king. They say, hand of the king. This is the right hand man. What your hands possess. Are you literally holding these servants in your right hand? No. It's related to authority. Yet, the praise, the hand is with him. Jibreel acts like the hand of God. Why? Because he does all these, he sends down the revelation. Jibreel send the revelation down to the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, so aid is something else. Aid is strength, reinforcement. So it's related. It's kind of related, isn't it? It's a similar root. Yad, though, clearly we call this yad today in Arabic. But the meaning is far more encompassing than just a physical hand. It's physical, but someone says, can you give me a hand? You throw a hand to them? No. Means, can you use your hands or whatever is in your control to help me? That's what I think it makes. USAF Kathrada. There's doubles in Fatiha, Allah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Iyyaka Sirata Alayhim. Oh, right. Thank you for reminding me. I'll go to Al-Fatiha at the moment. Just let me just take a bit of a break. We've been here for almost 3 hours. Okay. Just stay tuned. Okay. I'll be right back. And keep your comments in the chat respectful, as always. I really appreciate you taking the time today. Okay. 1 second. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for holding for that, for being patient. So, yeah, Surah Al-Fatiha. Let's look at it. I mentioned it in the beginning, USAF Kathrada, if you weren't here. But basically, Surah Al-Fatiha, the scholars of Islam reject or are unclear. They have doubt in the authenticity of Surah Al-Fatiha. Astaghfirullah, I'm here to tell you that basically, when you look at Surah Al-Fatiha, let me see here. Oh, one sec. MP. I know that aid. Let me just, sorry. This is a bit of a kind of tidbit for you. Give me just 1 second, okay? Okay. Let me show you this. Aidin. You see this root? This is aid. Aidihim is plural of yad. I know it sounds similar, but it's not the same word. This is reinforcement, to reinforce something, like buttress building. When you go to yed, or hand, you're going to see this. This root, yadi, yadai, not alif, ya, dal. Okay, that's the difference. Okay. Surah Al-Fatiha. Okay. If you guys have any questions, you should put them in the chat, because I do want to end the stream soon. I think it gets really hard, to go past 3 hours. I'll just FYI. Surah Al-Fatiha. Where is it? Okay. Surah Al-Fatiha, if you guys are unaware, is the only chapter of the Quran I'm aware of. The first ayah starts Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's not a heading. It's not like at the beginning before the ayahs. It's part of the first ayah. No other chapter has this in the Quran. The scholars, if you weren't here in the beginning, they have expressed infinite stupidity that there's doubt whether this is preserved or not. I'm here to tell you they're all wrong, because the Quran is exactly what the Prophet had. It's exactly what we have in our hands today. They just call it Hafs ibn Asim. They don't understand. It's just the Quran. That's all it is. All the other different qira'at and variant readings, this is based off of fabricated, hoaxed manuscripts without any dots that are not even 1400 years old. Carbon dating, don't tell me anything about carbon dating. Look into that scam of carbon dating yourself. You can make anything from any time period. It's completely subjective. It's a pseudoscience. Okay. So one thing I wanted to show you, let's go through the ayahs, shall we? There are 7 ayahs. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawm Ad-Din. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. What you see here is the most important concepts, almost like a summary of the Quran from the very beginning, like a fractal compression into 7 ayahs. I mentioned as well, USAF Kathrada, that Al-Maghdubi is not Allah's wrath. Why? Because Al-Maghdub doesn't have a ya, possessive ya, that would need first person possession. Al-Maghdubi would be necessary if it was Allah's wrath. It's not. It's just the wrath. Okay? So they put that in there. They turn Allah into like capricious. Allah is not capricious. This is what I want to talk about in the next video on Mecca. As-Sirat al-Mustaqim. You guys are getting a preview into the next video on Mecca. I already told you earlier in the live stream that Shaitan sits on Sirat al-Mustaqim. You cannot sit on something that's just metaphysical. Qa'ad, that's the word in Arabic. In Islam, we have a concept that this is a bridge. Every person will be somewhere along the vicinity, maybe passing on this bridge. And this bridge will sift whoever goes to Jahannam or Jannah. Why? Because on that day, this is easy to prove from the Quran. You just have to use a little bit of critical thinking. You'll be facing east. Okay? Or بين يديه. من خلفي is west, behind you. Shimal means left and north in Arabic. Shimal. So everything is anatomically accurate, how the directions are in the Quran. Absolute and relative to your body. Yamin means right, but it also means south. That's how the Quran uses this word yamin as south. Jnob is the word for south used today because it just means like sides. It doesn't really mean south. Yamin is the one for south because it's contrasted with north, which is shimal. So basically what we have here is they say that this is Hellenized from strata, okay, or street. Do you know what strata is? Strata. Let me just find it. That's not what I'm looking for. Stratum. Sky. What do they call it, guys? Stratosphere, right? Okay. This is the stratosphere. Do you notice that it's in up and down? Okay, it's mustaqim. If you're not aware, can mean straight. For sure, it can mean straight. But it can also mean upright, erect. In fact, if you look up the word mustaqim, this is used in medicine today to mean rectum. In Arabic language, they use the word mustaqim for rectum. If you have rectal cancer, that's called sirtan mustaqimi. Why? Why would it be the word for something that's erect, that's up and down, which is a straight line as well, right? Up and down. If you watch part 5 of my series, I've mentioned in so many mythologies that people always thought this world axis, not this axis, this axis. They have always considered this axis as a path, as a stairway, as a ladder, Jacob's ladder. Okay. And yes, I'm not saying these, I'm not vouching the accuracy of these representations, but clearly we have something in the Quran called Isra. Isra, and look, it says, the faithful will move easily and swiftly across a broad path led first of all by Muhammad and other leading lights of the community on their way to Jannah. However, the people that don't believe will find the bridge sharper than a sword, thinner than a hair, and darkness blinds their way, blinds them. They cannot find Sirat. Where's the Sirat? I'm blinded. In the Quran. It says that in the Quran. So what we see here, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Allah blinds the eyes of those so they do not find this path to salvation. This is literal, guys. You're blinded, meaning there's something literally in front of you. You are guided to it. That means something literally you walk towards. Okay? It's not just metaphysical guidance. Let me show you. Let me show you guys. What is on here? If you guys think that there is no way the conquest of Mecca is... If you guys think there's no way the conquest of Mecca is going to happen in the future, it's already happened. We're making Hajj to Mecca as we speak. This person, Ibn Arabi, say whatever you want about him. Maybe he's a mushrik, he's a heretic, munafiq, whatever. Leave the sectarianism aside. Out of all of the possible representations they use to show the Day of Judgment, they use his representation. Okay? You can see it right here. The Arsh, they show as an octagram. I'm going to talk about that in cosmology. That's such a cool topic. This symbol, guys, this symbol right here, that's in the Quran. There's a map of the world in the Quran. Anyway, I digress. Where is this diagram from? Where is this diagram made from? You know where it's made from? It's made from a book he wrote called Futuhat al-Makkiyah. The opening or the conquest of Mecca. What does the Day of Judgment have to do with the conquest of Mecca? Mecca is... We're going to Hajj there, guys. Aren't we going to Mecca already? No, we're not. Watch part 1 through part 5 of the series of Mecca. There's more parts to come, inshallah. Clearly, they've lied about something major. That's why Prophet Muhammad is the one leading the way. Now, I mentioned Isra. Isra is traveling. There are people called Israel, Bani Israel in the Quran. So it's related to this word, Isra. You know what this Sirat is also related to? It's related to different religions similar to Islam. Not saying they're the same. Judaism, they call it Jacob's ladder. Between heaven and earth. Zoroastrianism, they call it the Jinvat bridge. Jinwat bridge. Jinvat. Jannah bridge. Jannat bridge. It's a bridge all souls must cross. They identify with the rainbow. The rainbow, guys. I mentioned in my last video. The rainbow bridge is in Norse mythology. It's in Zoroastrianism. Jacob's ladder is related to the word Islam. Salam, Silim. Sullam. Sullam, Sulaiman, Islam, Salam. Islam is related to the ladder to heaven. The ascension, okay? Chapter 70 of the Quran. Ma'arij, the ascending stairway. You remember the Led Zeppelin song, Stairway to Heaven? Okay. We also have, look, it even tells you the Jinvat bridge is a concept close to As-Sirat, a bridge between heaven and earth. Certain forms of Christianity have this as well. Manichaeism calls the path to heaven or paradise the pillar of glory and identifies it with the Milky Way. Have you guys seen pictures of the Milky Way? We can't really see, you know, the Milky Way in its full glory half the time because of all the light pollution. You have to go out in the desert. Let's look at some photos, okay? Notice they mean to call it a way. What are we looking at here, guys? I can't say for certain right now, but this has an explanation in the Quran, right? This has a major explanation in the Quran. This is not a thing we spin around helplessly on a globe. And let me just show you one more thing. You guys heard of Yazidism? They have something called, you guys are going to laugh. It's called the Silat Bridge. Doesn't that sound like Salat Bridge? This is the same thing as As-Sirat. This is the same thing as the Bifrost. This is the same thing as the Jinvat Bridge in Zoroastrianism. The other world. Do you now see what's going to happen? Okay. Now that brings me back to Al-Fatiha. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. And it identifies who this is for. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Let's open that up. Sorry, I'm not looking at the comments at the moment. I just want to get this point and I'll come back. So let's go 1, verse 7. Right there. الذين أنعمت عليهم. Who are these people, guys? Let's look at this word أنعمت. The very next place it's mentioned. Look who's referenced. Ya Bani Israel. O children of the people that made the Isra. We have favored you above the worlds. The ones we have favored are guided Sirat al-Mustaqim. Strangely, it doesn't say towards Sirat al-Mustaqim. I still have to really narrow in why that's the case. Okay. Anamta. Okay, Anamtu. Anamtu. Ya Bani Israel. Twice. Right after. Anamtu. Ya Bani Israel. Third time. Ana'amma. This is Bani Israel who obey Allah and the Messenger. So many messengers, if not all of them, are from Bani Israel. That doesn't mean that there's no Arabs and no tribes or anything. Bani Israel are something totally misunderstood. Allah is not going to address a tiny group of people unless it applies universally. Isa was a servant. A servant is taken from a Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. This is a major thing, guys, because we are told the straight path is just in our imagination. Clearly, it's something crazy. Okay. Why is there two major powers? Russia and America built their country where they are now, so they have more control to the North Pole. Russia and America do actually fit a lot of the narrative. Like if you look at the differences, look at how the society is in the eastern part of the world. Look at how the society is in the western part of the world. They're clearly playing games. They're playing these war games between each other. Sure, they probably have more access to the North Pole than other countries. They also have a treaty with Antarctica, right? Do you think Antarctica is just a barren Iceland? No. In my understanding, Allah talks in that sentence to the believers in that time, witnessing hot scorching moon when the Quran was sent down, they need to fast directly, but we didn't witness. Chanya Roshan, I agree with this idea, but the thing is that Allah's ayat apply to us today. They apply for all of eternity. They're an accurate historical record from Allah's speech. So those verses don't just apply to the Prophet Muhammad. They apply now. Maybe it takes time for them to come into being now, but it will apply nonetheless. That video I showed you that the channel is called Simply Muslim. Just go on my community post for this live stream and you'll see it. All the links there. Hussein al-Khalil explaining Ramadan when it is in autumn. It makes sense. It's the last. It's part of the seasons. The seasons are very important in Islam. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean we have to fast monthly as commanded. We didn't witness the sending down of the Quran. Who are we to say where the Quran was sent down? Do you think the Quran is just sent down in one event? We have the whole Quran with us, but there's verses in the Quran where the Prophet something is being sent down now on him. What that means, I don't know. I'll appreciate if you tell us exactly what the Kaaba is. It is definitely not what they have told us. Yeah, man, just watch. The Kaaba is part of Al-Masjid al-Haram. Al-Masjid al-Haram is in a particular place, and just watch my Mecca series, part 1 to 5. Part 1 will tell you basically where it has to be. Part 2 will tell you where it's not. Part 3 will tell you is why it has to be there in the center. Part 4 is basically all the little hints they tell you in our media about it. And part 5 is every culture, every tradition relates back to this place. When Allah says about body parts, then it means the departments of the Deen Islam or governing administrative body. Yeah, possible. I don't necessarily see them all as basically Allah owns everything. They're not part of him. He owns it. He's separate from the creation. Full stop. If this is Rasulullah, he owns him. If this is Yad Allah, he owns this Yad. There are many titles in the Quran. Quran has a lot of usage of figurative meanings rather than literal. You could say that there are literal meanings that have become figurative because we've lost the original meaning. Just by a matter of us moving away from where these meanings are manifested. I'm just looking at the time, guys. It's over 3 hours, but thank you for spending so much time so far to me. So far, yeah. Thank you. Clearly, it's too early in the morning. Thank you for spending all this time with me. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, the North Pole code with Geek. The North Pole is not actually the North. I know this is crazy. This is great. It's just the center. Relative to us, it's the North. To the jinns, though, it's their South. Everything is coming together, guys. I can't wait to do the cosmology and all this other stuff. The Isra, the straight path. It's gonna get heated. I'll tell you that. There's people sometimes they comment, and may Allah guide us all, May Allah guide us all to the truth. We have no idea what's in store for us, really, right? And some people say, hey, you don't believe Mecca's here. That constitutes kufr. Please prove to me that's where Mecca is there we say today. Some people will say, no, it has to be in Yemen. Has to be in Jerusalem. Has to be in Petra. I'm sorry, guys. I do not see the proof of Allah's supremacy there. And doesn't it make sense it would be in a land where no people could have pride? This is on our land. It's in Turkey. It's in Israel. It's in Saudi. No. Allah is fair. He's just to everybody, right? No person has an advantage over the other. Everybody has an equal playing field to come to the same truth. That's how we're going to return to Allah. It's a return because we are originally from that place. SubhanAllah. Fasting is good for the body. It's not a direct or indirect command from Allah, whereas Sawm is the command of Allah that increases the taqwa. Yeah, Sawm versus Siyam. This has to be really studied. Okay. Salamun alaikum, brother. Glad I catch you alive. Salamun, brother Kekwi Chrysostomo. Carbon dating is just like the PCR tests, fake. Yep, it is. Thank you, brother Dale. Salamun alaikum, Mustahdeen ibn Adam. Salamun alaikum. Alaikum salam. Kekwi Chrysostomo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Kaike Chrysostomo. The Sirat al-Mustaqim is mentioned in 6:153, 156, 150. Oh, let's look at that. Why not? I'm happy. 6:153. Let's look at it, guys. Oh, this is so fun, guys. This is SubhanAllah, alhamdulillah, you have this like-minded group of people. You can just share openly with these things. وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا. This is صِرَاطً مُسْتَقِيمًا. So اتَّبِعُوهُ. ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم عن سبيله ذلكم وساكم به لعلكم تتقون. What else did you say here? 153, 156. Okay, let's go to 151 to 156. How's that? Say, come, I will recite. حرم ربكم عليكم على ألا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا ولا تقتلوا أولادكم من إملاق نحن نرزقكم وإياكم ولا تقربوا الفواحش. I'm just reading this. Interesting. Wow. I didn't think about this. So what he's saying is what Allah has haram. And then later it says this word here. Zahara, apparent. Batana. I know this means concealing and this means appearance, but Batan is what Mecca is described as. Haram is what Mecca is called. Okay. Zahir is what the Ya'juj and Ma'juj describe. They are not. It's not apparent to them what the structure built over the haram is. Okay. It's like, you know, everything is around the central point. You know, it's amazing. And then what does he say about this? The haram, the batan, the dhahr, harrama, the haq, even joined upon you by it, you will use reason. Do not go near مال اليتيم إلا البلة أحسن حتى يبلغ أشده الكيل الميزان بالقسط لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها وإذا قلتم فاعدلوا. Sorry guys, I'm just kind of that this is my path, yeah, mustaqiman. Don't follow other subul. And by the way, I mean sabilihi. Subul is used as a literal path, you know. I think it's used like Fir'aun sees a path into the heavens, right? I want to ascend the ways. Then we gave Musa the kitab tamaman. الذين أحسنا وتفصيلا. Everything. Musa got something very similar to the Quran. Sulaiman got something very similar to the Quran. Okay. 156. Sorry, I don't want to bore you guys. Yeah, all of this stuff. One of the things you should do whenever you come across a verse that's like eerily esoteric like this is all you do is you just go dirasatihim. It's easier when there's not as many instances, but just go and look at what these words, how these words are used, what context, what history. You'll start to appreciate what is actually going on in the Quran more. But yeah, I agree with you. We should look at Sirat al-Mustaqim in very straight detail. Sirat, straight to Gibraltar, stratosphere, narrow passage. Yeah, you know, peace, justice, compassion. If you don't think that they have named the stuff around us, if you don't think the stuff around us they have renamed after the real place, let me show you, because you mentioned Gibraltar. There's two mountains. There's two mounts, Gibraltar and Jebel Musa. They literally call it Jebel Musa, and they call it Jebel al-Tariq. Where is the Jebel al-Tariq? Where is Jebel Musa? It's not in the Mediterranean. It's not in Israel, in the Sinai. It's not in Arabia. But I'm just showing you that they made these redundancies because they're trying to lead you away from the real place. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam. Okay, let me see here. Not speaking for 3 days is order from Maryam and Ibrahim is so much harder for me than not eating. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Mustaqim is uphill, straight path towards height or higher place. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going like curvilinear. Oh, let me show you that. So you guys remember the Salat Bridge? You go to Jinvat. Oh, by the way, the Yazidis, this is a kind of cult-like religion, okay? They have so much truth in their religion. Don't follow this religion. I'm not advocating this religions or any of the ones they've created for us. But they have a lot of truth in there. Okay? Like the Feast of the Assembly takes place during autumn. Pilgrimage. They have to make at least one pilgrimage in their lifetime. They're copying the religion of the Quran in fabrications across these religions. Jinvat is described, it's identified with a rainbow or the Milky Way, citing descriptions of the Jinvat as straight upward and curvilinear. The rainbow is curvilinear. A sine wave is curvilinear. Even the Milky Way galaxy is shown to us as the dark rift, curvilinear. I just find it interesting. The shape is, straight path. I don't know. Isra this way, Mi'raj this way. We're playing around with these ideas, guys. 10 commandments mentioned in the Quran are Quranic Sirat al-Mustaqim. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, clearly, that's what we all understand. However, the guidance is, I see that there's something very particular in our traditions across all cultures, in the Quran as well, about, we want to figure out what this Isra. You guys want to figure out where Masjid al-Aqsa is? You got to look at the Quran in a different way. We can see a stripe across the sky in the desert. Doesn't mean it's a galaxy. Yeah, brother Mustahdeen, galaxy means galactose, means milk, the way of milk. There's a story of Maryam in the Quran. She goes to a makanan qasiyan, just like Aqsa. And do you know what she's described with? Let me show you. The pains of childbirth. The pains of childbirth, really. Look at guys here. Makanan qasiyan. I already showed you early in the stream. This is related to Al-Aqsa. Okay? فجاء المخاض إلى جذع النخلة. There's a tree related to this Qasiyan place. And this trunk, I mentioned in my part 5 of Mecca series that this tree is so big. It's just like a trunk all the way. That's what we see only. We don't see the actual branches or the roots. This word makhad, it literally means the churning, like a whirlpool. So if it was the pains of childbirth, Maryam, because she's conceived Isa at this point, it would have said makhadaha, her churning or birth pangs. Doesn't say that though. This is from the cosmos. And that's why she's in a high place, because after it says, that there's a voice from tahtiha, underneath her. She's in a high place. Isa and Maryam in the Quran, let me show you. Is it spring stream? I can't find it, but basically it's called Ma'in. Okay. Go down to this one. Here it is. We made Isa, son of Maryam, Ibn Maryam, and his mother Maryam, an ayat. Sheltered them within a high ground, having level areas and ma'in. This is related to the word for springs. Do you know where this spring are mentioned? Ma'in, Jannah. Jannah. Guys, Jannah is not as far as you think. It could be, it's there. It's somewhere there. Okay. Thank you, Brother Igor. Today is my birthday. Always a nice gift to hear research. Happy birthday. Mustahdeen ibn Adam. Hope it's a good one. Soaring Bird, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Cannot wait for the next videos. Yeah, it's going to be something. Whenever you question the established narrative, you become a kafir. Again, they'll never call you a mushrik. They'll only call you a kafir because you use your brain. The mushrikeen in the Quran are described as idiotic. They just have no brains. Not to say kafirin are good people. No, not at all. We're not kafirin, guys. But guess what? Allah makes it a point to say those who disbelieve in the lies, they're good people. So yeah, in a sense, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? That you become a kafir of the lies, a kafir of falsehood. You can look into الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا in the falsehood. 6151, the ayat that mentions Sirat al-Mustaqim are basically Quranic version of 10 Commandments. Yeah. Don't worry. Allah has accounted for all things. If you're one of these good people, trust me. Trust me, you're gonna see. You're gonna see some amazing things. Amazing things. You know, I mentioned some of these concepts regarding the true location of Mecca to just people I work with, and it's very interesting how intuitive it is. So they say, wow, that makes sense. You'd be surprised how much stuff I see. These are very confronting topics. They go against like 99% of the mainstream religion. And there's very little pushback because they can't answer anything beyond that. There's no alternative. I want to make these lies obsolete because you present a model that works better. Maybe it's not the definitive truth, but I just want, I just want something that works across the Quran. Surah Al-Fatiha is a big project for me that we can translate that accurately. That will change the game, guys, because these Sunnis and Shias, they recite Fatiha all the time, and it has all the gems in there. Pronounced Kaiki, Chrysostomo, Greek. If you pronounce it correct, good. It's nice to see people from all over the world in the chat. In traditional Islam, there are actually two Kaabas, one on the earth and one heavenly Kaaba that connect in some sort of way. You see, right? There's something to this. Something to this. How are they positioned? Are they positioned one on top of the other? That's what they say. They say that in Hadith there. One Kaaba, Bayt al-Ma'mur, is on top of the Kaaba, Bayt al-Haram. Is that true? Maybe the Kaaba's just aligned with it. Maybe it's like this. I can't make it definite if I don't know. Going far and beyond either intellectually by way of thinking, reflecting, pondering over what is right and wrong, or it could also mean to go far and beyond the evil people or evil elites. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, man de Friedens. I missed the whole stream. Don't worry about it. It's all right. I want to ask you about your experiences, maybe for some advice according to community life within a mainly Sunni environment. Well, brother, this is something that's forming right now. There is an ummah based on the Quran that is forming around the world before our very eyes. And basically, yeah, it is a struggle. It is a struggle to walk these two lines. We have to deal with people that totally just go against the Quran every way. Some of them are family members, friends, peers, people that have no interest in the Quran whatsoever as well. And it is harsh. It is a test, but you know, we find our way through it eventually. Okay. You just have to be patient, endure to the end. Okay. All right, guys, this is a long one. Went 3.5 hours, so I'm gonna stop it here. Thank you so much for spending this time with me again, and until then, peace. I'm gonna end the stream and enjoy the rest of your day.